shows can be seen later tonight at 2 a.m. so that we may bring you the following Channel 7 special presentation. Channel 7's Rock Financial Pistons Game Day is brought to you in part by Rock Financial, the mortgage experts, by Wallside Windows, most preferred, most referred, by the Metro Detroit Ford dealers, think Ford first, and by McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Well, almost all the so-called experts were wrong, and now after Game 2 tonight, the Pistons might be in terrific shape to win the NBA title at home, but if LA wins, we've got a heck of a series going on. Hello, everybody. I'm Don Shane with former Pistons head coach Chuck Daly, who, of course, led the Pistons to back-to-back NBA titles. They stunned the basketball world of sorts in Game 1. We know they can win Game 2, but I assume you expect it to be a whole lot tougher tonight. If so, why?
Well, first of all, I think when you look at a team like the Lakers with their pride, they realize the predicament they're in. If they lose this game, then they've got to come back to Detroit for 3 games. It's hard to win 3 at home, but nevertheless, they're going to throw the roundhouse tonight.
Can you sense the pressure? I mean, we talk about this all the time. There has to be more on them because of what you just said than on the Pistons to win this game tonight.
No question, there's more pressure, and particularly on Malone and Payton, who, you know, the story's been touted about them wanting to win a ring, and then, you know, between them, they get like 3 field goals. So I think they really have to show up tonight. I think that their whole offense, more importantly, they've got to show up defensively.
Did L.A. pay for taking the Pistons too lightly?
Absolutely. You know, it's hard to explain how 12 guys can get into that mindset, but it does happen to teams. The problem with it is once they get into that mindset, before the game, once you go to the court, then you can't change it during the course of the game. They had no intensity, particularly on the defensive end, and they're going to have to get more second shots if they want to compete in this.
All right, now during Game 1, the cameras and the microphones caught Larry Brown in a Pistons huddle saying some things that apparently upset Phil Jackson and his players. I want you to listen to reporter Stuart Scott. He explains what Larry said, and then Chuck and I will talk about it.
Detroit had a 3-point lead at the end of the first quarter, and Larry Brown reminded his team, he said, look, guys, we had 5 missed layups and a bunch of missed free throws. He said, we can get our shot. He said, talking about L.A., he said, they're not guarding anybody. Al?
You know, it's very interesting, Al, because talking to the Piston coaches, that's the one thing they kept saying is that we're going to get our shots. We didn't get our shots in the Indiana series because Indiana is an excellent defensive team.
Well, now, Phil Jackson played that piece of tape over and over and over again about his guys not playing any defense so they can get whatever kind of shot they want. Does that have any impact on your team and what could happen in this game?
Yeah, it could give him a wake-up call because there's no question about it. Larry was right. And I guess that 6th game up here in the Palace, that defense of both those clubs was so physical and an entirely different game that Larry even looked at it a little bit differently. He said, he probably sat there and said, I can't believe the shots we're getting after what they didn't get against Indiana. So consequently, he said it. But that's why coaches fight to keep microphones out of the huddle for that very, very reason. And now we're going to see if they're going to pay for it.
Well, let me ask you this. You're a coach, obviously. You've been through that. Why didn't he see that during the game? Why didn't he tell those guys that during the game? Why does he wait till the next day to play a tape of it?
Well, it's too late now because the game is ongoing. And, you know, the Pistons are running pick and roll. They were getting wide open shots off the screen. They were getting open shots off the roll down. There was no rotations. And that's a sign of lack of intensity and not really into the game.
Okay, Gary Payton, terrible game. He was fined for not talking to the media yesterday. Did he just have a bad game, or did Chauncey have an impact on him having a bad game?
Well, I'm surprised in a way, but, you know, Gary all year has been pouting. Hasn't been happy with the offense, not for me, because he's used to being the focal. And I watch, in a number of playoff games, he was sitting on the bench in the last quarter. And so I'm not so sure that there's not a carryover there. I would bet that Gary Payton will not be in that uniform next year.
Okay, Karl Malone also had a lousy game. Too old? Too tired? Too anything?
Karl Malone has played pretty well during the course of the playoffs. I think he's injured. I think he hurt himself in the latter stages of the Minnesota series. I think the time off at his age makes it difficult to get back into the rhythm. He was 2 for 9, but he rebounded reasonably well. But he's got to be the third. They've got to find a third guy to score for him. We thought it was going to be the Pistons, and it's just the opposite.
All right, a comment on Shaq and the way they defended him. And, you know, he got his, but I think they did a pretty good job overall.
Well, they did, and, you know, it's an interesting psychology. If you're going to let him catch the ball, which most clubs try not to do, they overplay him the top side, they front him, they put 2 guys on him. When he gets his ball and scores it, nobody else can get involved. And so consequently, I think if you watch the press conference after the game, Kobe Bryant says we've got to get deeper into our offense, which means we've got to go other places in order to get people involved.
All right, the Pistons are not satisfied with 1 win. They are greedy. They came to L.A. not hoping but believing they could win 2 games. Jay Berry's in Los Angeles at the Staples Center. Joins us live with more on Game 2 tonight. Jay?
All right, Don, made believers out of a lot of people. You're right. Now, Larry Brown is a lot of things. One of them, of course, is a teacher. His lesson after Game 1 on Sunday, how about my 76ers rather, coming in here, winning that first game and promptly losing the next 4 is something that he made sure the Pistons knew all about after Sunday.
He reminded us that on the bus, but like a couple people said on our bus, man, this is a different team. You know, you're not in Philly no more. You're in Detroit. So I think we know what's at stake, and we know that that you can't treat the Lakers like they're a slouch because they done been here, they won games, they won championships, so we really got to take advantage of it.
On the flip side, these are the same Lakers who were in this position before with Philly. And yes, they're counting on that experience to help turn this series around too.
You know, it's a long series. That's why they call it a series, not a one-game thing. So, I mean, we can regroup from Game 1 and win Game 2. You know, the series is tied up and we're going back there. So, I mean, we know we can win on their home court. It's a matter of us getting Game 2.
We will see. Just heard a stat, you guys back in the studio. No team has lost the first 2 at home and won an NBA Finals series. So the little incentive for both the Lakers and the Pistons, but Chauncey Billups doesn't need any incentive. He's got a chip on his shoulder. Tell you all about it coming up later in the show.
All right, Jay, thank you. Let's talk about this no letdown issue. Is that a concern, if you were the coach, that they would let down a little bit tonight?
Yeah, I'd be concerned about it, and it's one of those things that happens. You know, you get comfortable in a city, you go out and Rodeo Drive, or you go wherever. The road team, in a lot of ways, has an advantage because they don't have a lot of their people around. And we used that psychologically. We played Portland. When we split and they went home, and then all those people show up and all the tickets, you got to worry about dinner and all of that, and all of a sudden. So I think the focus will be pretty good, and I think the Pistons play loose. I didn't think they played that great the other day. Larry did. I thought they could play a lot better.
Okay, we'll see if they do. Chuck and I are not done yet, but first, if you want to watch this game, the Pistons, and then watch it with a bunch of fans, well, head to the Palace or Palace Vision. That place will be rocking tonight. We will go back to L.A. for a lot more on this game after this. Please, don't go away.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here.
Welcome back to the Rock Financial Pistons Game Day Show. One Piston grew up in Los Angeles and so far has had a terrific homecoming. Ray Saya joins us live from the Staples Center in L.A. for the Tayshaun Prince story. Ray?
Don, for the Detroit Pistons, these first 2 games of the NBA Finals meant a trip into enemy territory. But for one Piston, Tayshaun Prince, it meant a trip back home to where it all started. 8 years ago, he was a skinny, soft-spoken 6-footer at Compton's Dominguez High.
He was very low-key and a very nice man, very respectable.
Today, he's still slender, but now a budding star in the NBA.
Let's give him a warm welcome, Tayshaun Prince.
He represented Dominguez, and it means a lot to me.
It's good to be back.
On a day when a lot of people are talking NBA hoops, Tayshaun spoke about school first.
I know finals is coming up. Just wanted to make sure, you guys just stay real focused.
After his talk, Tayshaun toured around his old school, then put his arms around a lot of people he credits for his success.
I see him in a different light than a lot of other people see him.
There was Coach Russell, who taught him about the game.
He knows what he wants, and, he's not going to let anybody, interfere with that.
There was Myrtle, the school secretary who gave Tayshaun rides to school.
He's a true cop tonight, and I'm glad that he's back and didn't forget his roots.
But most of all, Tayshaun wanted to talk to the students, to let him know if a skinny 6-footer can make his dreams come true, so can they.
He would never forget where he came from, so when you don't forget where you came from, you have a clear picture where you want to go.
Tayshaun will tell you, growing up in Compton, California, he loved the Lakers, but now he would love nothing more than to take them down. Live at the Staples Center in Los Angeles, Ray Saya, Channel 7 Action News.
All right, Ray, thank you so much. Nothing seems to bother that young man. Has he just got the ideal temperament for big games?
He really does. I watched him in college very closely. I was with Memphis as a consultant. And I told our scouting staff, you better take a long look at this kid. I said, first of all, I think he can really score in the league. But I said his length, his defensive ability, and as you know, how things go, and he ended up here. And he had the rookie problem getting into games, but this guy has a multiple talented guy, and he's going to get better and better.
The big controversy always is, and you hear it, you know about it, should the Pistons have taken Carmelo, or is it too early to say based on the development of this young man?
Well, you'd love to have Carmelo, and I went to the finals that year and saw he and the kid Wade from Syracuse. I knew he was going to be a great player, but I don't know if anybody knew he was going to be this good, and I don't know if he had been with a really good team, whether he'd gotten all those shots.
Right, he wouldn't have played as much,
No,
right?
he would not have played as much, and you might not have had Rasheed then, and that's a significant factor.
Indeed it is. You know, the Pistons expect thousands of fans at the Palace tonight to watch Game 2 on the big screen. David Hall of Rock Financial is there right now. He joins us live from the Palace. David, welcome, and I guess first and foremost, your sponsorship this year of the Pistons, how did all that come about in your mind?
Yeah, they're going crazy here, Don. I can barely hear you. Say that again. They're going nuts here in the Palace. It's unbelievable. Say that one more time.
Well, that's exactly what we want. We want them to go nuts. Your sponsorship of this team and how it all came about this year.
Oh, it's been great. I'll tell you, the Pistons have one of the best organizations, not only in the NBA, but in all of sports. So it was a no-brainer for us to try and align ourselves with an organization that cares so much not only about the fans, but about hospitality. And they made it easy for us to help our clients and really give us not only a lot of exposure, but do a lot of cool things for charities and kids. And it was just a no-brainer situation for us to pair up with a tremendous organization like the Pistons.
Did you just get a little lucky, or could you have picked a better year for this?
Yeah, well, I don't know. We're going to take it this year, I'll tell you. It was fun. I thought last year, though, at the end of the season, that they could really win that Eastern Conference. So making it to the finals, of course, was everybody's goal. And now being up 1-0, we're just loving it. We're having a great time.
And I imagine for you personally, you're a huge sports fan, always have been. You get a little closer kind of a feeling about the team and a little closer to it than you probably ever would have gotten.
I'm living a dream, being in the finals and being this close to the team. It's unbelievable. We're having a great time. Our company, Rock Financial, has just gotten so much out of this sponsorship. We've got folks that come to the games and go crazy, and we're giving away tons of tickets to our employees, and they're chanting my name here, so it's just like the most unbelievable thing. I've never been like that. It's unbelievable. It's just ridiculous.
All right, well, keep them fired up for tonight's game and enjoy yourself. Thanks for joining us.
We're going to get them pumped up. Thanks, Donnie.
Coming up next, Jay Berry back out in Los Angeles with Chauncey Billups. He has some strong words on tonight's game and a lot more with Chuck as well when Pistons game day continues. So please don't go away. And welcome back. I want to talk about the respect issue. I think they gained some by the win the other night, but they keep saying, the Piston players, no, we didn't, no, we didn't. What do you think, and does that matter at all?
I don't think it much matters, but, you kind of cry for it. you know, everybody, I mean, 999 out of 1,000 are going to say, Lakers are going to win it. Right. This team has no chance. Right. Most of us felt the same way. I thought it would be a pretty good series because I had this nagging feeling. I kept looking at the total process and the total team. Great defensive rebounding, which is primary. Mm-hmm. They can score the ball. The third scorer is always a question. Mm-hmm. They can run the ball. And I said, why should they compete? But down deep, you said the Lakers, with all they got going, but then they steal a game. So tonight will be interesting.
I'm just curious, how badly might your teams of 89 and 90 beat this Piston team right now?
That's a tough question, you know, different eras. But frankly, we could really score the ball. I was with Billy Cunningham about a week ago, a famous player in Philadelphia, and he said, oh, your club slowed down the ball, didn't score. I said, Billy, we averaged 106 points the year we won it, and 104 the second year we won it. The club could really score. Yeah. Plus, we were good defensive rebounding club and a very good defensive club.
So you're saying you'd win, right?
We'd win. I'm prejudiced.
You have a right to be. You won championships. Chauncey Billups had some fairly strong things to say to R.J. Barry. Let's go back out to the Staples Center and join Jay live and listen to what Chauncey had to say. Jay?
Yeah, Don, I'm not worried about the Pistons being ready for the Lakers tonight, mentally at least, because that Rodney Dangerfield complex is sticking to these guys like super glue.
We've been down so many times, man, and people have counted us out, and people have not even given us, you know, respect, even right now. So I feel the same. You know, a lot of these guys on this team have been, you know, traveled the same path as me. Some guys undrafted, some guys being traded around, and, you know, yet we're right here, man, right in the thick of things.
Chip on your shoulder?
Definitely. We definitely have a chip on our shoulder. I mean, we won game one and still not getting any respect. You know, people it was a fluke. You know what I mean? Everybody's saying it was a fluke. So, yeah, we definitely have a chip on our shoulder.
You delivered a blow, and you know they're going to throw one.
They are. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to be super aggressive. I'm actually looking forward to it. You know, I want their best shot. You know what I mean? I want to see what they're going to do and how they're going to approach the game. So I'm looking forward to it.
And he can back it up, too. So if the rest of the Pistons feel the way Chauncey does, not going to worry, Don. Not going to worry. Back to you.
All right, Jay, thanks. When Chuck and I come back, wait until you hear what Shaq told the media and how the Lakers responded to it. That's coming up next on Pistons Game Day. Don't go away.
Channel 7's Rock Financial Pistons Game Day has been brought to you in part by Rock Financial, the mortgage experts, by Wallside Windows, most preferred, most referred, by the Metro Detroit Ford dealers, think Ford first, and by McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Welcome back to Pistons Game Day. At the Lakers press conference yesterday, the day after they lost Game 1, Shaq was asked if he needed to talk to his teammates to get them better prepared for Game 2. Kind of tell them what to do. Here's how he answered that question.
We know what we have to do as a team, and we just have to go out and do it. It's not time to be, you need to do this, you need to do that. We know what we have to do. I know I have to get up in the morning, put my underwear on first, and then put my pants on first. I don't need people to tell me that. Yeah, thongs.
Thongs. Now, Kobe said later that that's why we lost Game 1. We were traumatized by Shaq walking around the locker room in a thong.
That would traumatize anyone. The size of this guy, in every respect.
I assume you've never seen that in an NBA locker room.
Oh, huh? These guys are, you know, they're huge, and they're now weightlifters to boot. We used to have nice, skinny little guys. No more. It's incredible.
Yeah. You know what? One quick comment on, I keep hearing that Kobe will play better and Shaq will play better and Malone will play better and all this will happen and Gary Payton will play better. I think that for the Pistons, that Rip will play better and Rasheed will play better. And so I think that'll counteract whatever LA does.
Yeah, it should counteract it. I think the guy they got to really, you know, Kobe's been in a mindset the whole playoffs. I'll wait for my shots. I don't think you'll see that. I bet he gets 30.
You think Kobe will come out and get 30 now?
I think he'll get 30.
If he gets like 30 and Shaq gets 35, Pistons in big trouble, right?
They'll struggle to win it, if that happens. But I think they can score more points. I really do, particularly if they push the ball.
Okay. That's what we'll look for tonight, see if the Pistons can push the ball a little bit, score more points, and take Game 2 out there. Game 2, Pistons and Lakers. Coming up next right here on Channel 7. Now, we are live right after the game with the post-game story, and Chuck and I are back with a post-game show as well. So keep it right here on Channel 7. Until then, for Chuck Daly and Jay Barry, I'm Don Shane. Thank you for watching. We'll see you later on after the game. Enjoy this one, everybody. Pistons and Lakers from the Staples Center.
All right, can't stay up and watch the big Pistons game? We'll have all the highlights.
Plus, reports from Los Angeles and all of the excitement around Detroit. Action News Wednesday morning, 5 a.m.
Pistons are at the head of the regular season home stretch.
It's just like being at a Pistons game, huh, guys?
It's just not the same. Tickets are going fast. Call now.
Team 7 coverage from L.A. to the Palace tonight after the game.
This is the home of the NBA Finals. ABC Sports Championship Television.
Just after 5:30 local time on a Tuesday night in Southern California, the rush hour traffic, everybody ready to get home and get settled in to watch their Lakers. Out here in L.A., in basketball parlance, L.A. stands for Land of Angst tonight. They're a little bit concerned. Could they see their team, the dominant team out west, go down 0-2 to the team from the heart of the Midwest? Welcome back to the finals on ABC. It was supposed to be easy. Bryant to O'Neal. And then Kobe rejects it. These finals weren't supposed to be a series. Instead, a coronation, a feel-good story, a last hurrah for a golden trio. But someone forgot to tell the Pistons.
Kobe has that one blocked. It was Prince from the corner. The Detroit Pistons have told the country, we're here too.
Now suddenly the Lakers are backed into a corner. Tonight, see if the Pistons can put down the hammer and take a commanding lead back to Detroit. Or can the team that has thrived on adversity do it once again? It's Game 2 of the NBA Finals on ABC. Well, they may have been the lesser-known entry coming in, but the Wallaces, unrelated yet defense in common, are making a name on the national stage. Karl Malone, he's played so many playoff games coming off one of his worst. Part of the reason, guys like Tayshaun Prince stepping up in their first game on the final stage, a stage where Shaquille O'Neal could make history tonight, but more importantly, trying to square the series. Welcome to Chevrolet NBA Hang Time, live atop the Staples Center. Mike Tirico, the former Laker and coach of the New Orleans Hornets, Byron Scott, and a human test pattern. Actually, it's Tom. What are you wearing?
You just don't. This is hot. This is hot. You don't know it yet. Nugget, you're going to say, Tom, I apologize.
Yeah, retro jerseys are nice. I don't think we need that look from the 70s, but good to have Tom Tolbert here anyway. Guys, the LA Lakers, you can overreact in a 7-game series after one game. I asked you guys if the Pistons could make it a long series. Now I want to ask you if they can win the series after winning game 1.
Definitely can win the series, but they won't win the series, believe me. I think the Los Angeles Lakers got a wake-up call the other day against the Detroit Pistons, and when you wake up a sleeping giant like the Lakers, they will be ready to play in game 2.
Yeah, they can win this series. There's no question. I mean, when you play defense, you can be consistent with that and bring it every night. I still think the Lakers win this in 6, and even if they were to lose tonight against the Pistons, I still think they would win the series.
You think not a must-win?
No, I don't think it's a must-win.
You think it is?
Nope.
Must win.
Nope.
Got to win this game.
Let's get down to Al Michaels and Doc Rivers. We're going to stop the conversation and call the game for us courtside. Guys, as we mentioned, there were a lot of unknowns with Detroit for a lot of people around the country, but one of the guys who's becoming known is their scoring guard, Chauncey Billups.
You're right, Mike, and the interesting thing about basketball, and there's a phrase in the NBA, you've all heard it by now, it's called the X factor. You don't think of your number 1 guy or your number 2 guy, but somebody else who steps up, has a big game, and in effect wins the game. Doc, you called it the other night in the first half. I said, who's the X factor? You said Chauncey Billups. Good call. Assess his performance on Sunday night.
Well, he was great. I mean, the 22 points and more, we talked about their defense, but we should have talked about Chauncey even more. He has played well all season against the Lakers. He has great size against his basketball team. He's comfortable, and he really is a scorer. For the Pistons this year, he's been more of a point guard, but really when you look at Chauncey Billups throughout his career, he's been more of a scoring point guard. Larry Brown has turned him more into a point guard for the season. but against the Lakers, he likes to fit, and he's very aggressive offensively. And I think now he's become somebody that the Lakers have to deal with in order to win this series.
As you, of course, know, the X Factor is a movable designation. You're not always the X Factor. Who's Detroit's X Factor tonight?
Well, Chauncey can't be because we have to take the X off. He is now a factor. So now it's Tayshaun Prince. I think he's the guy that you're going to have to watch.
All of a sudden, Mike, as you stated at the top, we have a series.
Yes, it'll be interesting to see how deep the hole is or if it's a best-of-5 series after tonight is done. Now, Detroit did so many good defensive things. Let's take them individually with the big keys for the Lakers. As we look at the McDonald's NBA Finals summary from Game 1, Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal had 59 points. The rest of the team just 16 on awful shooting. 6 made field goals from 7 other players. You know, that percentage by Bryant and O'Neal, that's 78% of the offense. That's more than any duo in any game in the history of the NBA Finals. It's a nice number, but they didn't do it. What has to change here tonight?
Well, 78%, that's like more than I carry this show, which is amazing. I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm going to tell you what has to happen tonight. They got to hit some outside shots, plain and simple. There may be some people out there that think Karl Malone and Gary Payton have to step up and do a lot more. They have to do more, but I don't think they're capable of doing more. You look at the past playoff performances, and Karl Malone scored 12 points 2 of the last 10 games. Gary Payton in 18 games has only been in double digits 5. It's got to be George. It's got to be Fisher. Guys all got to chip in, and they got to score from the perimeter.
Well, you know what? It's a reason they didn't score a lot of points, and that's because of the fact that the Detroit Pistons plays great defense. You got to give them credit, and they did a heck of a job of making sure that every shot that they took, the Lakers were challenged, especially Kobe Bryant. Every time Kobe went to take the jump shot, it was a hand in his face. Tayshaun Prince did a heck of a job of challenging each and every shot. And every now and then, when you get Tayshaun off his feet, here comes Big Ben. He's going to challenge that next shot. So they had not only Tayshaun challenging shots, but their second part of the defense is challenging shots as well. And when you do that, like Tom said earlier, you got a chance to win games. But Kobe can't settle on just shooting 27 jump shots and getting 25 points. He's got to do just like he did against San Antonio, get within that 45% range. They'll have a chance to win.
Lakers only made 8 shots from 15 feet and beyond. It's because the Pistons a really long wingspan. 3 guys in Prince and Wallace 7 foot plus from fingertip to fingertip, challenging shots. Watch for that here tonight. Much more as we work our way towards tip time just after the top of the hour on ABC. As mentioned, Chauncey Billups, now a known quantity for the Lakers to turn down. They stopped Richard Hamilton in Game 1. Maybe he'll get free in Game 2. Will Shaquille O'Neal have another big night? Some of the storylines, Game 2 of the Finals on ABC.
Chevrolet NBA Hang Time on ABC Sports. Brought to you by the new Chevrolets. 10 new cars and trucks in 20 months. An American Revolution. And Dodgeball, a true underdog story. Starring Vince Vaughn and Ben Stiller. June 18th, only in theaters.
Back at Staples Center when Detroit traded for Rasheed Wallace, everybody said this is a different maker. He's helped them get to the finals. He only took 4 shots in Game 1. Could have much more offensive impact on Game 2. With tip time coming after the top of the hour here on ABC. Rasheed Wallace, North Carolina alum, like Larry Brown, his head coach. Larry has long been the brunt of jokes in the basketball world for his short stays and many departures. In the last 32 years, he's been the head coach for 10 different teams. This is a guy who's done it all. Olympian, All-Star, and champion as a player, Hall of Famer, and collegiate national champion as a coach. There's one thing missing: winning the finals. Our Jim Gray sits down with a man who took over the Pistons 53 weeks ago and won Game 1 2 nights ago.
I want to say this again, guys. Every extra pass you make, our shooting percentage goes off the charts.
When you went back to the hotel after Game 1, what went through your mind?
Well, I was happy, but I can't say I expected it. I did think we had a chance because they had 6 days off. And I always think when you have a lot of time off and you're at home, it's sometimes difficult to get your mind set.
Now, how do you convince the guys, Larry, that you got 1 win, which a lot of people probably didn't expect, but now you need 3 more to win this championship?
After the game was over, before they got off the bus, I said, look, I was in this situation 3 years ago. We had a great win against them and kind of celebrated and didn't realize that it was a 7-game series. And I said, we can't do that. And they all looked at me and said, Coach, we're not that team. We're a different team. And I said, yeah, but you got the same coach. And they all kind of giggled.
You've dedicated your life to basketball. What would an NBA championship mean to you?
I think it would mean more to people that are close to me than maybe myself, which is important in its own right. But it would be a way of me kind of thanking all the coaches that have ever taught me. It would be more or less a way of me thanking them.
You've been ridiculed, Larry, for moving around quite a bit.
You know, I just think it's time to move on.
But I'm wondering if, in fact, all of this moving is a search by you, a constant search for perfection.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, but I thought I've had pretty good reasons for most of my moves. Looking back on it, which I try not to do, there have been a couple that I had brain damage. But, yeah, I am looking for the perfect situation. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
What would be the perfect scenario, the perfect circumstance?
Right now, it is. I think in every situation I've been in, it's been that way. And sometimes it's changed because of my doing. In Indiana, my last year, I'm still embarrassed by that year and the way I dealt with a lot of our players. But for the most part is to have my team play up to their potential every single night and to have people I work for that have trust and loyalty. That's what I'm looking for.
Like his mentor, legend Dean Smith, he always talks about doing it the right way and treating the game the right way. Larry Brown coaches the right way. Tries to coach a winning Game 2 over the Lakers tonight. There's Ahmad Rashad with Charles Barkley. We will visit with Sir Charles at the finals as we continue on Chevrolet NBA Hang Time.
The Chevrolet Courtside Report is brought to you by Chevrolet. 10 new cars and trucks in 20 months. An American revolution.
Welcome back to the Staples Center, where moments ago the Detroit Pistons took the floor getting ready for Game 2 of these NBA Finals. There's Kobe Bryant stretching, getting ready, and he'll have to be ready. Hello, everybody. I'm Ahmad Rashad, and my guest analyst is one of the NBA's greatest players, Charles Barkley. Charles, thanks for being here.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you very much.
So now Detroit winning Game 1. They didn't shock the world, but they certainly got the Lakers' attention.
Well, I think that the margin of victory surprised everybody, but it came out, great tactic by Larry Brown. Those role players can't get involved unless they double Shaq and Kobe. You know, Doc talked about the X factor. The X factor has to be Gary Payton for two reasons. He can get his own shot, but also he can speed the tempo of the game. Because Derek Fisher and Devin Joyce, they can't get their shot unless Shaq is getting double. But Gary Payton, he can get his own shot, but the main thing, he can speed up the tempo. And it's only two ways role players can get involved: fast breaks and out of double teams. So they got to speed the game up.
So now the Lakers come in here with the big four, but they played like the big two in Game 1. What about Karl Malone? Had one of his worst games in playoffs ever.
Well, Karl Malone is one of the greatest players ever, but he's got to be running out of gas. Number one, he's 41. He's had a bad leg all year. But you forget, he's played against two of the three best players in the world in the last two series, and Tim Duncan and Kevin Garnett. And if he was 21 or 31, it would wear him down. But at 41, it's definitely got to take its toll.
What about Ben Wallace and Shaquille O'Neal? At some point, do you expect Shaquille to be able to wear Ben Wallace down just from the weight advantage?
I do. I think this is going to be a long, drawn-out series. I agree with Byron Scott. I think the Lakers will win it in 6 or 7. But sooner or later, no matter how great a shape Ben Wallace is in, banging against that big monster, and, hey, every other day is going to take its toll eventually.
Psychologically, what does it do for Detroit to have won Game 1? All of a sudden, to let the Lakers know they're in for a fight.
Well, they know it's going to be a fight. I think one thing that will hurt Detroit, I don't like the 2-3-2 format, because I don't think that home team can win all three of those games. Obviously, this is a must-win. Tom says it's not a must-win. He must be drinking up there, because when he went and got that suit, he was drinking. But this is a must-win for the Lakers.
The Lakers come out tonight. They know they're in for a battle. It's got to be a whole different mindset for them.
Well, they obviously got to play with a sense of desperation. Anytime you lose that first home game, game 2 is a sense of desperation. But I don't think there are going to be many blowouts in this series because Detroit is here to stay because they play such great defense.
Can Karl Malone bounce back?
I think Karl will play better. But I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a tough role because, hey, going against Tim, Kevin, now against Rasheed Wallace and Ben Wallace at 41, he's going to have a good games here or there, but he's not going to be dominant in any games.
Charles, it is always a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, that was the Chevrolet Courtside Report. Back to you, Mike.
Thank you to Charles. 2 finals format. Only Houston in 95 and Chicago in 93 have won the first 2 games on the road. Lakers trying to prevent that in game 2. We approach tip time and have more of Chevrolet NBA Hang Time after this.
Chevrolet NBA Hang Time on ABC Sports, brought to you by the new Chevrolets, 10 new cars and trucks in 20 months, an American revolution. And Dell, flexible enterprise solutions that are easy to buy, easy to own, easy as Dell.
There you see the starters for the Detroit Pistons. They did a very good job, and their bench outscored the Laker bench in game 1, but it's really those other Laker starters, Malone and Payton, to support Shaq and Kobe. If LA is to square the series, which tips in a couple of minutes, game 2 here on ABC. Now, every game before the NBA Finals, a celebrity gets a minute to share their thoughts. Tonight, actor and musician LL Cool J. His new CD, Definition, comes out in August. LL offers his take on the musical scene in the NBA for tonight's NBA Finals Minute.
What's up, I'm James Starr Smith, a.k.a. LL Cool J, and this is my NBA Minute, baby. The best rapper in the NBA? There's been a few guys. I've heard some demos of some stuff that never came out from a few players. I'm not going to say who, but they know who. And I advise them not to put it out, and they listen to me. Very smart of you. Shaq just went out, you know, he left Jersey, went out to Cali, and just all the beats was Cali'd out. Shaq was funny with the records he was dropping. Some of it was a little ridiculous. My favorite player growing up was Mike, period. I believe that people with big minds and big hearts and a lot of courage that dig deep and are willing to do whatever it takes to win, not only do they compete, but they create. I think Kobe has that. You know, I think Phil Jackson has that as a coach. The Rock, baby. Handle the rock. That was my NBA Minute. I hope you enjoyed it. Now back to the NBA.
LL Cool J. You know what the LL stands for?
Ladies love.
Ladies love. Will it be Lakers lose in game 2? What do you see here happening in the game? What do you need to watch for early on, Tom?
I think early on, last game, Kobe Bryant got caught floating. He played right into Tayshaun Prince's hands by shooting jump shots. He's quicker, he's stronger. I look for him to try to get to the painted area and either take shorter jump shots or get his teammates involved off double teams.
Will that help the other guys get easier shots, Byron?
Well, it probably will. I think Tom is right. You know, Kobe has to be aggressive from the get-go, but the 2 key guys to me is still Karl Malone and Gary Payton. If those guys come ready to play and they're true professionals, you know these guys' pride was a little hurt after the way they played in game 1. Look for them to have a big-time game tonight.
I thought Doc made a great point with Al during game 1 that the Pistons' runs are not necessarily a 10-0 offensive run. It's like 5 stops on defense, and then when they get a basket or 2, it becomes akin to a 12-2, a 10-4 run. Is it tough to gain momentum against such a good team defense like Detroit has?
Well, if you walk it up all the time, it's near impossible. I mean, I think what the Lakers need to do, and they got some guys early in the season they ran. They haven't done it in a while, but Gary Payton loves to run, Fisher, Kobe, those type of guys. They need to get quick shots. And if you're the Pistons, let me say this, because you mentioned all the time we seem to talk about the Lakers. Right. Pistons played a heck of a game last game, great defensively. Do what you did last game, and you might be up 2-0 going back to Detroit.
Yeah. You know what? I talked about this earlier when we talked about this series, and I said the team who got the easiest baskets will probably win this series. The Lakers have to get up and down the floor. When you set up on a half-court offense against the Detroit Pistons time and time again, you're going to have trouble scoring, and you're going to be shooting in the high 30s or the low 40s. And if you do that, then you better play great defense on the other end.
Panic? No. Predictions? Tom.
Lakers. Close.
Lakers by double digits tonight.
You think double digits
Yeah.
will come out early?
They
It's
woke them up.
One of those games where the other guys who only had 6 field goals in game 1 might have that many field goals in the first quarter of game 2. Stuart Scott, Michelle Tafoya on the sidelines. Al Michaels and Doc Rivers bring you game 2. We've got a great look at the life of Ben Wallace coming up, and Jimmy Kimmel when we see you at halftime. Thanks for watching Chevrolet NBA Hang Time. Game 2 of the finals after this message and a word from your ABC station.
The Los Angeles Lakers began the NBA Finals with home court advantage. The initial goal of the Detroit Pistons was to take it away. On Sunday night, a stellar defensive performance accomplished that mission. Now the questions tonight are, can the Pistons do it again? Or will the Lakers even this series before we head on to Michigan? Tonight, the NBA Finals, Game 2.
Yeah, get started under pressure. The ones that bring it, the ones that test you. When we moving the rock, when we making a shot. But only 1 on the clock, and the feeling's irresistible when we all shot. Let's get it started. Yeah, let's get it started. Let's get it started. Yeah,
High above downtown Los Angeles, you're looking at Staples Center, the Los Angeles Lakers home over the past 5 seasons. Almost 19,000 filing in and getting ready for take on the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm Al Michaels, along with Doc Rivers. Michelle Tafoya and Stuart Scott will be working the sidelines, and so it won't be a cakewalk. It's a series. The Pistons made sure of that with a tremendous defensive performance in Game 1 on Sunday night, winning 87-75. This then becomes a huge game for the Lakers. The Lakers expected by almost everybody to win. If they lose tonight, they're faced with an 0-2 deficit. We go to Michigan for at least 2 games and maybe a third, and no team in the history of the NBA Finals has ever lost the first 2 games at home and gone on to win the championship. Doc, we were talking to Phil Jackson the other day, the Laker coach. He said making adjustments in a series like this is oftentimes overemphasized. He said, but the biggest adjustment you make is between Game 1 and Game 2. He has to make a big one. What will it be?
Well, it'll be defense. You know, this series started, and we're talking about the Pistons' defense and them needing to play it to win. Well, they played it. The team that didn't play it was the Lakers. If you watch Game 1, you saw the Pistons get open shot after open shot with no one in sight, and they can't do that. The Lakers have to play great defense all night. I think they have to start with their defensive pressure, and then they have to take away shots, open shots, from the Pistons to win this game this night.
Now, Larry Brown's Pistons turned in a near-perfect performance the other night, but in this strategic chess match, he can't play a totally pat hand, so what does Larry do?
Well, not much. You know, when he looks at it, he won a game, but they didn't play their best game, and his best player, Rip Hamilton, didn't score, but he did a lot of other things. Larry Brown and the Pistons knew that the Lakers would pay a ton of attention to Rip Hamilton, so use him off the ball, get other guys shot. Rip Hamilton was more of a playmaker than a scorer. I think you'll see him trying to score more points in the game this evening.
So considering the circumstances, before a semi-nervous crowd in Los Angeles, we get set for Game 2. Right now, the PA announcer as we go over to Lawrence Tanter.
Ladies and gentlemen, to honor America, please welcome the honor guard from the Los Angeles Air Force Base. Please rise and remove your hats for the singing of our national anthem this evening by platinum-selling Electra recording artist Jason Mraz.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And now to the Bud Light starting lineups.
And now let's meet the starting lineup for the Eastern Conference champions, the Detroit Pistons. At one forward, number 22, 6'9", second year out of Kentucky, Tayshaun Prince. The other forward is number 30, 6'11", ninth campaign from North Carolina, Rasheed Wallace. At one guard, number 1, 6'3", seventh season out of Colorado, Chauncey Billups. The other guard is number 32, 6'7", fifth year from UConn, Richard Hamilton. And at center, number 3, 6'9", eighth season from Virginia Union, Ben Wallace. The head coach of the Pistons, Larry Brown.
Into our house and pushes us around. This is
On your feet. Time to greet the home team. The franchise with 14 NBA titles, the most wins in NBA history, the Western Conference champions, your Los Angeles Lakers. At one forward, number 3, 6'8", fifth season from Augsburg's College, Devin George. The other forward is number 11, 6'9", 19th campaign from Louisiana Tech, Karl Malone. At one guard, number 20, 6'4", 14th year from Oregon State, Gary Payton. The other guard is number 8, 6'7", 8th season from Lower Merion High School, Kobe Bryant. And at center, number 34, 7'1", 12th year out of LSU, Shaquille O'Neal. The head coach of the Lakers, Phil Jackson.
And so the lights come up, and we go to Michelle Tafoya. Michelle.
All right, Al, I've got 2 notes on fatigue for you. Here in these playoffs, Shaquille O'Neal has played 8 games on 2 or more days of rest, 10 games on just 1 day of rest. Shaquille O'Neal said yesterday, I like rest, and to prove it, he's scoring 7 points per game more in those games where he's had 2 or more days of rest, and tonight, he's had just 1. Second, Phil Jackson said tonight that Kobe Bryant spent a lot of energy guarding Rip Hamilton all night in Game 1, and that may have taken something away from Kobe's offensive game. So in part due to that, look for Kobe to spend less time guarding Rip. Look for some changes in the way the Lakers guard Rip Hamilton tonight. Now over to Stuart Scott, who's with the Pistons.
Larry Brown knows the Lakers will come out more focused and more aggressive, but he told me before this game, it's not really about them, it's about us. We need to respect them, understand how good they are, but we also need to understand why we won. That's sharing the ball and getting good shots. Now, Ben Wallace, I said, Ben, did you learn anything guarding Shaq in Game 1 that might help you here? He laughed. He said, I wish I could say that, but that guy's a load. And then someone said, Ben, what's it like D'ing him up? And he looked at 3 of us and he said, you see how you guys hold that wall up with complete confidence that wall isn't going anywhere? Same with Shaq. Al, he said he ain't going anywhere.
Shaq had 34 the other night, and Detroit still won. Bryant had 25, so the 2 big guys had 59, but got almost no help. Steve Javie, Joe DeRosa, Bennett Salvatore. Are the officials working Game 2? Detroit flies out after the game. The Lakers go tomorrow. Game 4, Palace of Auburn Hills on Thursday night.
It'll be interesting early to see the Pistons, not the Lakers, how the Pistons come out early. You know the Lakers are going to be...
Again, it is Shaquille O'Neal, as was the case the other night. So that's happened in both games.
Yeah, and what it basically means is that the Pistons get the ball first in the 4th quarter, which doesn't mean a lot or seem like it means a lot, but it actually could.
And the Lakers will inbound in the 2nd and 3rd periods. Phillips pressured well out in front by Gary Payton. This is Rasheed Wallace into Ben Wallace. Gets by O'Neal and misses the reverse layup with O'Neal getting the rebound.
The first change, Al, that I've seen already in the Lakers defense is Gary Payton is going to pressure Chauncey Billups.
Bryant with a lot of traffic as he goes through the lane and an offensive foul. And Phil Jackson talking to us before the game saying we have to pressure the Pistons.
Well, you know why? Chauncey Billups is a big point guard. He's bigger than Payton. So if Billups is going to use his size once they get across half court, then Gary Payton has to use his speed to push him up the court. And I think that's what they're going to try to do. Now, as you can see, the Pistons are a team that someone else can bring the ball up, and that's what Tayshaun Prince just did.
And you saw George pressuring Prince about 35 feet out, and now Wallace misses the shot, but Billups is there for the offensive rebound. Drives to the hoop, doesn't get the bounce, and it winds up off the back of Ben Wallace, and the Lakers will inbound. Pressuring the opposition sounds like something every coach would say, but remember Larry Brown, and it got a lot of publicity on the off day because we had him the other night saying to his team in a timeout, they're not guarding us at all. You have every shot.
Yeah, and they did take it personal. You know, I'm sure you've heard that Phil Jackson played that 4 and 5 times for his team. But the bottom line, you win championships by playing defense, and the Lakers are going to have to do that. Now, again, early on, one-on-one coverage on Shaq. I think you're going to see Shaq touch the ball a little bit more than he did in Game 1.
In Game 1, with those 34 points, he scored the first 8, so he gets the first basket of the second game. Rasheed Wallace working on Malone, and Carl fouls him.
I think when we missed a couple of things in Game 1 or didn't talk about him. Rasheed Wallace was in foul trouble. You know, he played well, was really efficient when you look at his numbers. But when you look at his minutes, didn't play enough minutes, played very few minutes in the first half. You're going to see Detroit go to him early and often to start this game.
Wallace, in fact, sat on the bench for the majority of that first half. He played 29 minutes total. During the regular season, he was a 74% free throw shooter.
You know, really interesting what Larry Brown did in Game 1. He doubled Shaquille O'Neal when he didn't have the ball. And then when he caught it, he ran the guy off of Shaquille O'Neal and played one-on-one to take shots away from all the others, the quote-unquote others of the Lakers. And one of those others this evening is going to have to play well for the Lakers to win.
The other night, in fact, they had only 4 points from the guys off the bench. And Malone and Payton each had a scoreless first half. Bryant. Prince stays with him, gets the screen from Malone, and then tries to get it into Shaq to tip it in, and the pass is too high.
Yeah, good, though. That's the second time now that Kobe Bryant has not settled for jump shots, and he's attacking the basket. That's what Phil Jackson told us before the game. The offensive adjustment, they have to give Kobe more room to attack, and then the Lakers have to attack the basket instead of settling for jump shots.
Now you have Bryant on Billups, and we talked about that a little bit in the pregame show, but Wallace is free, and Ben goes to the hoop for the jam, and Detroit leads.
But, you know, you're not seeing Kobe Bryant guard Billups because he's getting tired guarding Rip Hamilton. I think they think Kobe Bryant can do a better job on Billups, and they think Gary Payton can do a better job on Rip Hamilton.
Here's O'Neal again, short. Billups pressured by George. So Kobe now switches off. Devin George guards him. Billups then loses the ball. So George with a big steal here early. Billups goes down. He's fine. Bryant with it. Kobe from 18. Whistle.
Yeah, Rip Hamilton hit him on the hand. Now, again, that's the second time a bigger body has been guarding Billups. First, it was Kobe Bryant, then Devin George. You're going to see Gary Payton moved around this afternoon, this evening, because of his size. They know Billups has a size advantage. They know Payton can chase Rip Hamilton, so I think you're going to see that switch more than not this evening.
Kobe Bryant, very good free throw shooter, hit 85% during the regular season, 80% from the line here in postseason. Lakers retake the lead early first quarter in game 2. Pistons winning the other night in a game in which the Lakers led on a couple of occasions, but never by more than 3 points. George pressuring Prince. Back to Ben. Now to Rasheed Wallace for 3, and Bryant clears the boards. Kobe whips it into the corner to Payton. 3-pointer doesn't go. And look at that rebound by Ben Wallace. A play like that, and you understand why he is mostly about rebounding, mostly about defense.
Because he has Velcro on his hands. And when it touches it, you never see it pop out.
Prince feeds it to Ben, and Ben has it blocked, and then Kobe almost has it taken away. Wasn't looking, had to turn back to get it. Malone to the hoop. Rejected by Rasheed Wallace. Now Billups stopping and popping from 18. And Wallace can't get the follow to go. End-to-end action. Malone again. This time it works.
Yeah, the first time he went in and tried to get fouled and didn't. This time he went in to try to make the bucket.
And Larry Brown's going to call a timeout. So an early timeout called by the Piston coach. It comes just 3 minutes and 58 seconds into the game. Captain Jack is here, of course, saluting his Lakers, who take a 6-3 early lead. Malone passing up that one. And then Rasheed Wallace with the block. But then again, if at first you don't succeed, try again.
I've heard that before.
Yes, I have too. Cliche number 137.
Yes.
We can scratch that one off.
Hey, good timeout by Larry Brown, I must say. You know, he can see right now the Lakers, Al, I think you see it already. Their energy defensively is up from game 1 already. And the message that Phil Jackson sent has been received so far.
Here's the McDonald's NBA Finals summary. Take a look at what happened in game 1. Billups, the big man for Detroit, with 22 points. The bench with 19 points. The Lakers had only 4. O'Neal and Bryant combined for 59 points, but the rest of the team had only 16 points, and the rest of the Lakers were 6 of 30. That's 20% from the field.
Wow. 78% of the points scored by 2 guys.
And the Lakers with a bench that pretty much has put them into the finals. Thank you, Derek Fisher. Thank you, Kareem Rush, says Phil Jackson, as Prince puts it in to make it a 6-5 Laker lead. Bryant feeds Shaq. George gets free from 16. Malone with a back tap, but nobody's there except Rasheed Wallace. And it goes into Ben Wallace, and Detroit takes the lead. So Larry Brown calls the timeout, trailing by 3, and the next thing you know, Detroit's up by 1.
And that's the second time now that Ben Wallace has caught the ball close to the rim. That time he was able to convert. What he's doing is just running down the court, trying to outrun Shaq to the basket.
George would have been a 3. O'Neal with the rebound.
Each shot that the others miss put more pressure on the next guy.
And then Malone gets hit by Rasheed Wallace and picks up a foul here with 6:55, pleading his case with Joe DeRosa.
I mean, you can see this right here. The Pistons, this is like their secondary break, and all they're doing is spreading the floor, pushing it up the floor, and they're telling one of their bigs to run straight down the middle and put your head under the basket. And what they're saying, if you do it every time, Shaq won't, and you'll be able to score.
Payton goes down, but he gets pushed down. They're going to call the foul on Billups.
You know, as a player, you hate that foul, but it is a great call. The bottom line is when you trip over someone's foot, even though it's a mistake, it's still a foul.
Now, when you in the audience hear Doc talk about a great call, just one little caveat here. Doc will be coaching the Boston Celtics next year.
Thank you very much.
He's building up a little bit of currency.
You know, with Tommy Heinsohn working, I better build up some.
Yeah. Here's Shaq. Banks it in. Lakers reclaim the lead. 8-7 Los Angeles. We approach the halfway mark. O'Neal now has 4 points.
That's the second time now. Shaq in game 1 looked awesome offensively. And he looks like he's going to do the same thing again tonight.
Here's Hamilton, who was fairly silent in game 1. O'Neal gets the rebound. Hamilton with a 5 for 16 shooting performance in the open. Of course, he was so instrumental in the conference finals against Indiana. Here's O'Neal again. Gets pressured. Ball goes out of bounds to Detroit.
Shaquille O'Neal was surprised when he turned that they actually sent a guy. You know, he was starting to get comfortable with one-on-one coverage. Right when he turns around, well, we're going to double you on this one.
Billups in and out. Malone with the rebound. And Kobe Bryant dribbles into the front court, and Phil Jackson says we'll take a timeout right here. 5:47 left, opening quarter. Game 2 in Los Angeles. The Lakers are up 8-7.
The NBA Finals on ABC, brought to you by Miller. Vote Miller for President of the Years. Good call. Nissan, who invites you to shift the way you move through the world.
Staples Center in Los Angeles. 8-7. Los Angeles on top. Larry Brown and the Pistons, who tied with San Antonio for fewest points allowed in the NBA during the regular season. And in postseason, in fact, when you talk about the Detroit defense, so many places to go, they allowed only 80 points per game in the first 3 rounds. The other night, 75 to the Lakers, and under 20 points in a quarter, which of course is a benchmark of a terrific defense. In more than half of the quarters they've played, Doc, in the playoffs, they've held the opposition to under 20.
It's amazing, and it's an amazing number, and that's why we talked about, Al, in game 1, that the Pistons number for scoring is that 85-87, because they can do math. You know, 4 times 20, and I learned this in Marquette.
Very good.
Is 80. So they're thinking 87, we win.
That was in postgraduate work.
Yes, that's
Diane
right.
Cannon and Magic Johnson. As play resumes. And the ball goes into the backcourt. And when Kobe Bryant touches it, he's going to have to give it up because it's over and back. Jackson's trying to contend that a Piston got a hand on it.
And I think Jackson is trying to breathe because he's thinking unforced turnovers. The one thing you can't do against a great defensive team is give that team, especially if they're not a great offensive team, points and easy buckets. And that's what you do off a turnover.
Fourth Laker turnover. All the way goes Hamilton. Detroit on top again. Payton to Bryant. Now Gary posting and losing the ball. Now the Lakers have turned the ball over 5 times in less than 7 minutes.
Yeah, and that's a concern. Again, when you are a great defensive team, not a great offensive team, you can't give that team easy points in extra possessions. That's not very good. I mean, look at this defense. This is that face guarding that we talked about. But the blow-by right here, and Kobe was really upset. He looked at his teammates when Rip laid it in and was, where's the help?
Mask guarding. Of course, Hamilton wears that plastic mask because of a broken nose sustained during the regular season. From the corner now, that would have been a 3 for Wallace. Meanwhile, Payton was charged with that last foul. Detroit has 14 fouls. The Lakers have 2. The Lakers have turned.
They have a great running back, you know, where it looks like there's no opening, and all of a sudden he can squeeze himself through.
That change of pace. Start fast, slow it up, get fast again. Rasheed missing everything, and then Bryant is there for the rebound. 4.5 to go in the period. Malone. Over Rasheed Wallace. Karl is long. Rebound is to Ben Wallace. Phillips goes all the way, and off the glass kisses it in. So the lead going back and forth. 11-10 Detroit, under 4 to go in the period.
And again, this is Piston pace right now. You know, Phil Jackson told us earlier, right before the game, that we have to force tempo and create a faster tempo. Now you remember in the Western Conference Finals, the Lakers didn't want to play that way. They wanted to slow it down. I mean, these are the possessions, the same type of possessions right here that the Pistons got in Game 1. Layups at the basket. That's the second straight layup for the Pistons.
Lakers inbounded. There was 12 on the shot clock when they did. Bryant dishes it over to George for a 3-point attempt that doesn't go. Lakers at the outset shooting 36%. And timeout is taken here by Larry Brown. 3.5 to go in the opening quarter. Detroit 11, Los Angeles 10, and you're watching the NBA Finals on ABC Sports. The NBA Finals on ABC being brought to you by Budweiser. Grab a cold, fresh Budweiser. It's game time. The new Chevrolets, 10 new cars and trucks in 20 months, an American revolution. Universal Pictures on July 23rd. Matt Damon is Jason Bourne, the Bourne Supremacy. And MSN, Life's Better with the Butterfly. Come see how at MSN. The Palace of Auburn Hills, that's a live shot. And as teams do now in most sports, when they're on the road, they invite a lot of fans for a very nominal fee into the home arena. So there's the Palace. We will be there for Game 3 on Thursday. So you got a couple of thousand folks looking on the big screen.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome when you see cities get involved in their city, in their teams. And Detroit is definitely into their team right now.
O'Neal and Bryant the other night, 79% of the Laker points. That's a record for the finals. And tonight, they have 80% at this point.
Yeah, it's not a good trend right now if you're a Laker fan. This game so far reminds me a lot of Game 1, with the exception I think the Lakers are playing with better energy defensively. But as I told you earlier, the Pistons are still getting the same shots.
Hamilton just gave him a 3-point lead. First substitution of the game. Luke Walton, who didn't play in Game 1, comes in for Devin George, and that's Luke with the ball. His dad Bill in the building. And Malone gets fouled, And it's Wallace. So Rasheed Wallace has now picked up his second, similar to what happened the other night. And now Eldon Campbell gets up off the bench. So Larry Brown forced into the same situation as the other night. He has to bring Rasheed Wallace to the bench in the first quarter.
Yeah, and both times have been on Karl Malone's movement, putting Rasheed Wallace into the wrong spot.
Daddy Bill, one of the great players of all time, wife Lori, and of course played his college basketball right here under John Wooden at UCLA. Malone to the line. Karl did not get to the line in game one. Makes the first, and here's Michelle.
Yeah, Al, Karl Malone, who's been called the big brother that this team needed, tore a ligament in his right knee in late December, sat out until mid-March. That's the most significant injury he's had in his career. That same knee has been swelling up here in the postseason. In fact, he had to have it drained before this series started. Phil Jackson said before tonight's game that he wants to watch Malone and see how willing he is to shoot and how his knee has reacted to the action. Doc, you're a doctor. So far, how's he doing?
He's doing pretty well so far. You know, and the key for him, and Phil Jackson was saying it, is how well Malone could move. The reason he's not shooting is his knee.
You went to Marquette Med School as well,
I'm telling you, math and med school.
O'Neal back to Walton, who's become a pretty good three-point shooter this year. Shot clock at 7. O'Neal doesn't get the bounce. Detroit still leads by 1. They have the ball 2.5 to go in the period. Hamilton gets his own rebound. 2 misses. Campbell couldn't get it in with the left hand, and the Lakers come back down. And Bryant had nobody to hand it off to, and now he can't pick it up again.
That was like the park.
Nobody's there. Nobody's home. He would have been whistled the second he touched it, so all he could do is just leave it alone, and the Pistons pick it up on the turnover.
And another turnover for the Lakers.
That's 6 now. Campbell, former Laker. Hamilton, short. Malone fights for the rebound, but Rip gets it back.
Boy, Rip Hamilton is getting great looks at the bucket right now and not making shots.
He's 2 for 6. Now Prince from outside to drain it for 3. Tayshaun Prince, a 4-point Detroit lead with Wallace on the bench.
Some players play well when things go right for them, and then they ride the storm. Tayshaun Prince reminds me of one of those guys right now. He's in a groove right now. I wouldn't be surprised to see Detroit try to look for him a little bit more.
And O'Neal, as he goes through the lane, gets fouled. Back to Tayshaun Prince, whose 2 blocks in the series against Indiana were the 2 vital plays.
Yeah, and then he made a big 3 in game 6 to basically end any hopes for the Pacers. Tayshaun Prince is starting to play well in this series. In game 1, I thought he did a great job of taking the ball to the bucket, and right there he's making shots. So Larry Brown needs him to be a great defensive player, number 1, and then when he can knock down shots, that's extra.
O'Neal misses the first of 2. Now you have Corliss Williamson and Lindsey Hunter coming into the game for Detroit. And for the Lakers, they bring Derek Fisher off the bench and sit Gary Payton.
You know, it was a clear advantage in game 1, Detroit's bench. I thought their bench players came in aggressive, played comfortable, and made things happen. Lindsey Hunter has been a great factor so far for the Detroit Pistons with his ball pressure, not only his scoring.
We talked about it before. The Lakers bench didn't play well. The Lakers had only 4 points from their non-starters. Minute to go in the period. Ben Wallace underneath. Gives it to Williamson. He can't get it to drop.
I tell you. Al, if you're Larry Brown, you're looking at these points that you're giving up right now, and it has to be driving you crazy.
And then he'll be a little crazier because that gives Luke Walton the opportunity to score his first ever points in an NBA Finals.
I like the substitution by Phil Jackson putting in Luke Walton, because Luke Walton's one of those players that makes things happen, and right now you need your other guys to make things happen.
And he makes another thing happen right there. Offensive.
See, they need guys to create plays. Luke Walton is one of those guys that can do that. He's going to come in. He's going to give great energy. He's going to fight guys down on the post. He's bringing energy right now. You can feel it right now in this arena, right when Luke Walton walked on the floor.
And he forced the offensive foul committed there by Williamson. And now Larry Brown, end of quarter switch. He's going to bring in Mike James.
And here's just Luke now running the floor. And again, getting involved, creating shots. He's a great passer. Like you noted, he's improved his three-point play. So good move. Didn't play in the first half or the first game. And already in the first quarter is in this game.
Lakers have it. It'll be a 5-second differential. So James, a good defender, matches up very well with Fisher. And that's why Brown brings him off the bench here for this one possession. Walton, 8 on the shot clock. Cross court, Kareem Rush for 3. Well, that's why the Minnesota Timberwolves are at home right now.
Yeah, and that pass was unbelievable from Luke Walton. Again, Luke Walton just created that play out.
Walton and Rush. So the bench has done more in a quarter tonight than it did with 3.5 to go, and a foul here than it did in the entire game. The foul here is on Fisher, and the Lakers had a foul to give. If you don't follow that much basketball, a foul to give means you haven't committed a foul in the last 2 minutes of a quarter. So if it's a non-shooting foul, the other team doesn't go to the free throw line. You get them to eat a little clock. Here's Medvedenko coming into the game, and it's in effect a free foul.
In effect, it's a foul to give. That's what I tell them. When they ask me what a foul, you can give a foul and there's no penalty, you know. And good teams and smart teams use it wisely. I thought right there the Lakers really used theirs wisely.
Taken away. Fisher heaves it up at the end, and that is the end of the first quarter. So Luke Walton and Kareem Rush come off the bench and provide the energy. And the Lakers have the lead at the end of one. It's Los Angeles 18, Detroit 16. Game 2 of the NBA Finals.
The WNBA's greatest players are coming to an arena near you.
Lawrence is steal by Williams. Unbelievable.
See Diana Taurasi lead a new class of rising stars.
How do you like me now?
Watch Swin Cash and the world champion Shaq challenge for a repeat. Get in on the action. The WNBA is now playing, so this is your chance to be part of the excitement. Tickets are on sale now. Call 1-877-WNBA-TIX or log on to WNBA.com for more information.
Back in Los Angeles, Al Michaels and Doc Rivers with Michelle Tafoya and Stuart Scott. The Lakers with a late charge at the end, a 6-0 run because of the bench, Doc.
Well, the bench had to play well. Obviously, not only just the bench, any other guy but Kobe or Shaq had to play well. I really thought Luke Walton came in and his energy changed the game. First he gets the drive, then he creates a three-point opportunity with his ball handling ability and his passing. So Phil Jackson is getting stuff from other guys. That's what they need to do. And the more those other guys score, the easier it will be for Kobe and Shaq to score.
Already more points in the first quarter tonight than in the entire game the other night. Here's Stewart.
Guys, here's what makes Larry Brown a great coach. His team just got, they were the victims of a run. And 3 different times during that last timeout, Larry Brown told his team, look, they only have 18. They still only have 18, meaning they once again kept the Lakers under 20 points for the quarter. He did tell his guards, guys, you got to get the other team, you got to get your other teammates involved more, share the ball more. And that was basically it. Nobody was panicking, guys.
Yeah, that's a great point. It really is. I mean, sometimes you have to look at the whole picture and not just the run that is current, and that's what Larry Brown was doing. He also watched the first quarter like everyone else and saw all the layups and wide-open shots that the Pistons missed.
From the corner, Fisher. And it was Medvedenko tapping the rebound to Malone, who gets it to Rush. And the second-year guy out of Missouri misses there with Ben Wallace clearing the glass.
I tell you, Rush comes in with that gun loaded, doesn't he?
He does. And against Minnesota in the game 6 out of 7. And that made the difference as the Lakers came from behind. missed by Wallace. Malone, meanwhile, Karl Malone is hurt. He was reaching for his right knee. He's hobbling underneath the basket. And here's Williamson putting it up and in.
You know, right now, I'm looking at Karl Malone, and they're going to have to yank him off the floor.
No doubt.
He doesn't tell the truth usually to the trainer, Gary Vitti, and they're calling it 22nd right now because of Karl Malone.
Well, you saw Karl, and all he had to do is just point the index finger, wave it a little bit over toward the bench, and the Lakers have to take a 20. Malone, in his career, as most of you who follow the game know, he almost never missed a game in all of those years at Utah. Then he misses half the season here.
Yeah, and I'm sure some of that is age. And, you know, when you're running on a bad wheel, anything can trigger it and make it worse, even a trip like that. So, you know, this is a guy, as a fan of basketball, that I absolutely don't want to see get injured. I want to see him compete in this finals. And you know right now, in most cases, most guys probably wouldn't be playing, and he's trying to gut it out here.
People feel for him. Anybody who knows the story, all the years at Utah, he gets to the finals on a couple of occasions, but runs into Michael Jordan. And here's what happened. It's kind of a freak play earlier in the year, December 21st, in fact, and that cost him 40 games.
Yeah, I bet there's been more injuries in our league with guys landing on someone else's foot than any other injury.
Two-pointer. Lakers up by a deuce.
Last 3-4 minutes, the Lakers are starting to get open shots, and that's the first time this has happened in this series.
Williamson cross-court to Okur in the game for the first time. Now Lindsey Hunter, who won a ring with the Lakers a couple of years back. Shot clock at 3, so Wallace has to take the shot. And then O'Neal gets fouled on the rebound.
Boy, I tell you what, Okur passed up an open shot. Lindsey Hunter then passed up an open shot. Chauncey Billups then passed up an open shot, and they swung it out to Ben Wallace for the 15-footer.
Gary Vitti, the longtime Laker trainer, in consultation with Karl Malone. You know, at that point, I'm looking at Malone, it's like your brain wants to shake it off.
No.
It's like you don't even want to give in to the fact that you might be hurt to the extent you can't play. And the steal here, and here's Billups.
You know, an easy bucket for the Pistons, another turnover for the Lakers. So right now, I think the Lakers' defense has been terrific so far in this game, where it wasn't in game one, but their offense, they're having sloppy turnovers, and that's uncharacteristic of a Laker offensive basketball team.
2020, that could lead me to a promo, but I'm not going there. Medvedenko misses. And here's Billups. Underneath, and it's Wallace who couldn't get enough control of it. And now Fisher darts back the other way to Bryant.
Oh, wow.
Didn't get the bounce. Fisher saves it at the baseline, and then O'Neal gets hammered for the foul.
I tell you, Kobe Bryant just ruined a great highlight with missing that layup because, you know, again, he makes things look so easy. With what he just did, he shouldn't have been able to do in that little space.
We watched him do it so much through the years. Malone went back to the locker room, and now he's coming back.
I don't think he's going to leave this game. I think Gary Vitti is going to try to do his best to try to get him there, to try to talk him into that locker room. And, you know, Vitti told us earlier in the year that Malone's a tough one because he never tells you what's going on. You have to figure it out for yourself.
Now Bryant sits down. He gets a rest. Rush and Fisher in the backcourt. Walton, Medvedenko, and O'Neal up front. Assistant Frank Hamlin was the man in the middle as Vitti goes over it with Phil Jackson, and the Lakers have the lead, 21-20. Medvedenko pressures Wallace. Shot clock at 6. Hunter drives, throws up a wild one that goes in.
Yeah, tough shot. But again, the one thing you like if you're a Laker fan, now you're watching the Pistons go late in the clock. And that didn't happen in game one.
And the foul is called on Billups as Hunter and Billups had him double teamed. So the foul on Hunter and a timeout taken here with 8:58 remaining in the half. Detroit up by 1 in game 2. La La Land. Detroit up by 1. Adam Sandler is here. Pretty much a regular at the Laker games. Steven Spielberg, very much a regular at the games. Sharon Stone, hairstyle by Ben Wallace.
Oh,
my. Warren Sapp is here. The Sapster, of course, signing with Oakland. And Oakland will wind up meeting Tampa Bay in the second week of the season this year, Doc.
That will be very interesting.
Yeah. Raiders doing a lot of maneuvering in the offseason, as did the Bucks.
Warren Sapp was here in game 1 also.
He was here in game 1.
Getting used to the California life.
He certainly is. Stopping Hollywood on his way to the Bay Area. Detroit up by 1. A little under 9 to go in the half. Open is Walton, and he's become, as we said before, a very good three-point shooter.
He really has, and we watched him early in the year. When Luke Walton was drafted, he was a 15-foot shooter at best and inconsistent there. We've watched him all year spend hours on working on that three-point shot, and now it's paying dividends.
Lakers putting a lot of pressure on. Again, you have 8 seconds to get the ball across the midcourt line. Campbell loses it. Out of bounds it goes to the Detroit bench.
The activity of the Lakers on defense has made a difference. You can see it. They're starting to get confidence, not in their offense. They're starting to get confidence in their defense.
And then Walton slips, and with the prospect of not being able to get the ball across that midcourt line in 8 seconds, takes a timeout.
Yeah, and he also wasn't sure if he could dribble or pass after that play.
Walton for the tray, and the Lakers by a deuce.
The NBA Finals on ABC, brought to you by Miller. Vote Miller for President of Beers. Good call. Nissan, who invites you to shift the way you move through the world. American Express, the official card of high flyers. And State Farm, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Back at Staples Center, L.A. Lakers lead by 2. These two teams met in the late 80s, in fact, in back-to-back finals. This was the second of those, Game 2 in 1989. And watch Magic Johnson at about midcourt there, number 32, and he will reach for his hamstring. That ended his appearance in that finals. Byron Scott had been hurt. There's Gary Vitti, still the trainer, and Magic knows that he's done. And Detroit would go on to sweep after the Lakers had won in 7 the year before. And here, of course, is Karl Malone, who came in with a gimpy knee anyway, underneath the basket, reaching for his leg. Here's Michelle.
Well, guys, athletic trainer Gary Vitti had a number of contentious conversations with Karl Malone. Vitti said that Malone twisted that same right knee. He is available to come back. But again, they've had a number of conversations just to come to that conclusion. And many of them, Karl has been upset with Vitti, sometimes Vitti turning away in frustration, like there's nothing he can do. But the word is, he is available to return. Back to you.
Doc,
I'm gonna tell you
know, it sounds like denial to me.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you what's going on. Vitti is telling Karl Malone, you should sit out the rest of this game and let's check it. And Karl Malone is saying no. Oh, my.
Luke Walton
is creating.
Luke Walton is now the Lakers' leading scorer. He did not play in Game 1. He has 7, and the sound of Luke resounds throughout Staples Center. Okur inside, guarded by Medvedenko. Okur gets doubled, and then Prince was free, but the ball is thrown away.
And who calls that play, Al? Luke Walton. Luke Walton has made 2 terrific defensive plays. He has made great offensive plays, scoring, and some great passing. He's coming in and making things happen. Again, like we said earlier, great substitution by adding him into this series.
That was Detroit's 7th turnover. O'Neal has it knocked away. Campbell got his hand on it. The ball is out of bounds, and Detroit will inbound.
Hanging out. Now, this is coast to coast. No one stopped the basketball. That's the first thing you learn in camp. You have to stop the ball.
13 points. O'Neal with a dozen. Doc talking about defense, and the Lakers held Detroit to 35% from the field. The other night, Detroit hit 46%. So the Lakers at the half are up by 8. Coming up, the Verizon Wireless halftime report. Mike Tirico. Tom Tolbert, I dare him again to use that word ugly, dressed like he is tonight, and Byron Scott. We'll take a look at the first half when we come back.
This is the Verizon Wireless Halftime Report.
So on this team of 4 future Hall of Famers, it's the son of a Hall of Famer who has made a big difference for the Los Angeles Lakers, who closed the quarter on a 13-5 run. Kobe Bryant with 13 as the Lakers lead 44-36. And we welcome you to the Verizon Wireless Halftime Report with Byron Scott. And enough people have said enough about Tom Tolbert's suit, so why don't you say something about the first half?
Well, first of all, I want to say, I mean, the talk around this series and around Detroit all season has been great energy, great defense, hand in the face. You know, save it, because I'm not buying it. You know, you watch all the missed shots that are open shots that are missed in this series, missed layups, missed free throws. I mean, right now, it's offense, and it's repugnant offense. It's not just great defense. Whoever's going to win this series is going to have to start hitting some shots, not 50%, 45% will do from the outside.
Well, you know what? First of all, I love Tom's suit. I don't care what everybody else say. That's my man, Double T looking good. Double T looking good. But you know what? Tonight with the Los Angeles Lakers, it's all about energy, and they got that from the bench. And we all talked about Gary Payton and Karl Malone. It was Luke Walton who came in and provided that energy. Luke did some great things out there in that 13 minutes. You know, I don't know why all of a sudden they wanted to double Shaq, because Luke Walton comes in, knocks him down, makes him pay for it. And then this is what he's really known for, is his passing ability as he hits Kareem Rush for a three-pointer. And now he gets it off the glass, takes it all the way, full court for the layup. Luke Walton came in and made a big difference on not only on the offensive end, but on the defensive end as well. And if they can get that type of productivity out of him, Lakers are going to win this game easy.
Remember, game one, the other guys, not Shaq and Kobe, made a total of 6 field goals. The other guys, helped by Walton's 3 field goals, have made 7 field goals in the first half alone here. And what does Detroit have to do to get going offensively in the second half?
Where's Rasheed Wallace?
On the bench with 2 fouls like it was game one.
Well, he's 0 for 4. He had some open looks, and he hasn't made a shot. I mean, pretty soon they're going to put that red and white sweater on him like Waldo. You know, you try to find him out. This was the guy that was supposed to be the difference maker. He was supposed to take them over the top. If they don't get, I mean, Rasheed doesn't need to get 20, 25. It's not going to happen in this series, but he's got to get around 15 points a game if they want to win. Right now, he's a no-show.
From their front line, 16 shots from the starters, 4 from Tayshaun Prince, 4 from Rasheed Wallace, and 8 shots from Ben Wallace. He's only made 2 of them. When we come back on the Verizon Wireless halftime report, we'll let you know, I should say, Ben Wallace, whose path to the playoffs and success is quite different.
Didn't necessarily take the traditional path. Had to go a couple different routes, but you know, for me, all roads was leading to the same spot, but just had to go over a couple bumps to get here.
This halftime report presented by Verizon Wireless. We never stop working for you.
Can you hear me now? Good.
Back on the Verizon Wireless halftime report, Pac-10 pride. The Arizona product, Luke Walton. Of course, the son of the Hall of Famer, Bill. The big first half as the Lakers lead Detroit 44-36 here at the half. Well, of course, after your late local news and Nightline on ABC, it is Jimmy Kimmel Live, Jimmy's show, done out here in Southern California. And Jimmy was watching the first half along with you. Jimmy, your thoughts on what you've seen on the broadcast so far?
I'm just screwing with you. My mic works fine.
Thanks, Jimmy. Real nice.
I haven't been able to get past Tom's suit tonight. What are you wearing, Tom? Is that your grandmother's couch?
I told you, Jimmy, just like I told Mike, this is hot. You're just not going to know it for a couple months. Just wait. You'll see, like, George Clooney will be wearing this kind of stuff in a couple months, and you'll say, wow, I missed out on the boat.
Yeah, well, you look fantastic. Did you know you were going to be on TV?
I did, actually. Yeah, that's sad, isn't it?
Well, be honest, this is just a plug. I have nothing really to say. I'm glad the Lakers are winning because, I mean, besides the fact that I'm a Laker fan, I realize that they're going to burn the city of Detroit down if the Pistons win. and it's not worth it.
Hey, that's my home state. Be careful. We celebrated Red Wings titles well.
They should suit for the first part of
That's a good move. Jimmy, we'll see you after Nightline, late local news before that here on ABC Tonight. Thank you, Jimmy. The Clippers of late night, as Jimmy describes himself. Well, the Detroit Pistons are a team that are not as high profile as the Lakers. One of their big people on the team is Ben Wallace. He was an all-star this year, but he doesn't score a lot of points. He does it with a kind of a Detroit work ethic. Hard work, blue collar, a guy who is an underdog in many ways, and in many, many ways, a success. The road to glory isn't necessarily a straight and narrow path. Look no further than 29-year-old Ben Wallace, whose skills have taken him from the Deep South to the American Midwest and everywhere in between. He's an aggressive, powerful presence on the court, but unassuming off it. Ben Wallace, a man whose instincts have been his most reliable companion throughout a journey full of twists and turns.
Didn't necessarily take the traditional path. Had to go a couple different routes, but you know, for me, all roads was leading to the same spot, but just had to go up a couple bumps to get here.
Raised in rural Alabama by a working single mom, Wallace was the 10th child in a family of 11, but the kind of kid who always knew what he wanted. For example, he didn't like the way the barber cut his hair, so he learned how to do it himself.
You know, one day we just had a pair of clippers laying around. Mom was like, "What you gonna do if you mess it up?" I said, "Well, I just have to cut all of it off." Actually, the first time I cut my hair probably was the best haircut I ever had.
He was the kid with the quiet strength who learned early on not to fear the big guys.
I wanted to hang with my brothers, but they was a lot older. They was a lot bigger. And, you know, they didn't want me to get out there and get hurt. I went in the house one time and, you know, sort of sat on the sofa and was pouting a little bit. My mom asked me, "What was wrong with you?" And I was like, "You know, they won't let me play." And she was like, "Get back out there and tell them I say let you play." Just stayed out there, just kept running around the court, and by the end of the day, I was playing.
By high school, Wallace was playing almost everything well. All-state honors in football, basketball, and baseball. It was no surprise when Auburn University's football team invited him for a recruiting visit. But when he was told he wouldn't have the opportunity to play both of the sports he loved the most, football and basketball, he turned down the Auburn scholarship, a choice that left some baffled. But the opinions of others matter little to Big Ben.
That was instilled in me at a young age to be an individual, be yourself, you know, live with the decisions you make, and don't be afraid to make tough decisions that might lead to a more promising, you know, position down the road.
Good thing Wallace had the confidence to follow his own path, because the promising position of his dreams wouldn't appear until he paid some basketball dues. So when the NBA was finally ready to say yes to Wallace, he said no. He assumed the team in Washington was looking for a small forward, but unwilling to give up the action of the inside, Wallace wasn't interested until the team convinced him that they were indeed seeking a center. Soon after, Wallace left Italy, and he hasn't looked back since. Now the 6'9" defensive wonder is exactly where he always wanted to be. But he won't take credit for his success. That belongs to his beloved mother, who passed away last year. It was Sadie who provided her son with the unwavering conviction of a true believer.
I always feel my mom present. You know, I know that she's looking after me. She's still taking care of me the way she's been doing all her life. So, you know, I just keep reminding myself, saying to myself that anything possible. Someone did it before you did.
Ben Wallace, 2 of 8 from the field in the first half, one of the sources of pride for an entire city, despite what people like Jimmy Kimmel say. Half 2 coming up.
The Verizon Wireless Halftime Report, brought to you by Verizon Wireless, the only wireless provider that allows you to vote for the NBA Finals MVP.
Can you hear me now? Good.
Restaurant serving up Piston Mania tonight after the game.
And back we come now to Los Angeles. to Staples Center, where the Lakers are on top 44-36. And Al Michaels with Doc Rivers. We'd love to talk about the X factor. Now, who would have guessed that Luke Walton would be the X factor?
None of us. We wouldn't have guessed that he was going to play tonight, number one. And now he was terrific. And, you know, the scoring was nice. It's always nice when he gets some shots. His defensive activity was huge because he's not been known as a defensive stopper. But more importantly, the thing that stood out to me was his passing. I mean, 5 assists in the first half from a guy who didn't start or play much in this series or in the playoffs is huge for the Lakers.
Let me ask you this, as a coach, all right, you get a lot out of a guy in this situation. So there are two ways to think about it. Okay, we keep playing the hot hand, or you know what? That's about, you know, as good as it's going to get for a brief period of time. So what do you do if you're Jackson?
Well, I think Phil Jackson is going to give him another shot. But if he doesn't play well right away, he will not be in there long. You know, they already have a lead. They have their lead now. So now it's time for the other guys to pick up where Luke Walton left off.
They lead by 8. Here's Stuart Scott.
Al, I saw Coach Larry Brown coming out of the locker room and I said, Coach, how did it go in there? He shook his head. He said, oh, man, too selfish. And he went on to explain they're playing too much selfish basketball. They take 4 or 5 bad shots. They don't make the shots. The Lakers convert on the fast break at the other end. He said, we've got to share the ball more, and we've got to slow it down. He said, we're just going too quickly. And I said, are the guys down? He said, no, their only problem, again, Larry Brown, is that I'm their coach. Now for a report of the Lakers, let's go to Michelle Tafoya.
All right, Stuart, thanks a lot. Listen, Karl Malone spent a little extra time in the training room during halftime. I'm told by one of the Lakers staff that he has some additional swelling in that right knee. He's going to try to play through the pain. Kurt Rambis told me they're definitely playing with more defensive energy, and that's helping on the offensive end. They're pushing the ball the way they'd like, but they're still not executing their offense exactly the way they'd like to, Doc and Al.
Thank you, Michelle. And the Lakers open up with their regular starting 5, not
interplay right now with Rip Hamilton and Kobe Bryant, and we all knew that these two guys grew up together. You're watching them play right now. They're going after each other.
High school rivals in Pennsylvania. What a move by Wallace to bank it in.
That is an absolutely great move, and you can see Shaq late there. He was trying to get there. I think they're going to start bringing Shaq over a little bit quicker to help.
Payton works it inside, and then Malone gets fouled by Wallace.
And Wallace was caught sleeping. Karl Malone slipped in there. I'll tell you, Karl Malone right now, hats off, because you can see him struggling, and this might be his best stretch. It is his best stretch in the finals so far. He's been very effective.
Third foul on Wallace. And it's almost, we talked about it when he went out earlier, Doc, it's almost mind over matter right now. You know he's hurting. He was hurting coming into the game. He tweaked it again. He went back to the locker room for a while, got into a little verbal exchange with Gary Vitti, the trainer, and just playing through everything right now.
Yeah, he really is. And I tell you what he's doing now. He reminds me of an old veteran player who knows everything. You know, he can't do everything physically, but he's just a step smarter with his brain right now than the other guys on the floor.
9-point game. Dr. Tafoya.
Well, no more on his physical condition, but I can tell you emotionally, yesterday I spoke with him. He was quite emotional when he said it's important to him to get a championship, Malone. But he said the most important legacy I want to leave with my team is that they all know that I am a caring person that cared for every single guy on the bench from 1 to 12. And from every other Laker that I've talked to, they certainly do know that. He has been the big brother that this locker room has needed, Al.
Brian has to take a timeout, and Billups doing everything he can to keep Detroit in the game and make it a lot tougher for Malone to win that elusive title. That 3 made it a 6-point game. Timeout, Lakers. Lakers 59, Pistons 53. And you're watching the NBA Finals on ABC Sports Championship Television. The great figure skating champion, Michelle Kwan. Michelle at the game. Of course, you know that Jack's going to be here. Jack's movie schedule must prohibit any activity. John Cusack at the game as well. Denzel Washington.
He's being very shy right now.
Yeah. Cool.
You know, Spike Lee and Jack Nicholson are the only two stars that right when you see them, you associate them with a sports team.
And they each pay for their own tickets, which I think is really
that's
cool.
pretty cool.
They don't badger their agents. 59, 53.
They can afford
Lakers.
it.
Yes.
Both of them.
Well, guys badger their agents because the agents can afford it too.
Yeah, that's true.
Here's Bryant. And then Malone tries to get it over to Shaq and out of bounds, but off Detroit. And they'll reset the clock to 14.
It's funny. Kobe's looking at Karl, and the first thing you could see Kobe thinking, Karl really isn't healthy right now, and that's why he gave it up.
Let me correct that. They will not reset the clock at 2, and it stays at 2, which means it's an inbound pass and then a quick shot.
Where's Fisher?
He's on the bench. Here's Malone. He has to launch one. That would have brought the house down. But Bryant keeps it alive for L.A. Ticking down to 4 minutes left in the period. 6-point L.A. lead.
Wow.
Shaq inside. Wallace impeded it enough on the front end that Shaq had to go to the backside.
Yeah, I tell you, Shaq got it so deep. I'm really surprised he didn't try to dunk that. You know, you're looking at this game, and it looks like the Lakers are dominating the game. It's a 6-point game right now.
6-point game. Detroit not making it easy. And open is Hamilton. And now it is a 3-point game.
That play was called. It's amazing the little things in our game. That play was called by Rasheed Wallace. You know, we talked about Shaq coming to double. He did. By him doubling, the Lakers had to rotate and then left the open guy.
And then Payton, who had everybody covered, and looked at Malone saying, Karl, you should have come back to me, and that caused him to walk with it.
And Karl's thinking, I couldn't come back. I can't move out here. It's amazing how quickly games can change and momentum can change. Right now, Detroit is thinking we can steal this game.
Crowd gets nervous.
Let's play. When the battles begin, you never know where the heroes will come from.
NBA Finals on ABC. The crowd is winning.
LA up by 3, and it was made a 3-point Detroit deficit as they made the last 5 field goals on a 3-point shot by Hamilton.
Now, I want to show you why. We talked about the little things. Shaq comes over to double team. Rip will space out. Ben Wallace will then dive, which will take Devin George right there and will free up Rip Hamilton. All the little things. You can see that. The help, that gives Rip room. The ball swing, bam. Rip Hamilton makes a shot. But that shot was caused because Rasheed Wallace had just scored the last 3 times on the post. Shaq decides to double team, which we said he probably would do. And unfortunately for the Lakers, that frees up Rip Hamilton for the 3. And now it's a 3-point game.
3.5 to go in the third. Let's check in with Stuart Scott.
Al, a few timeouts ago, Larry Brown was as upset as we've seen him the last couple of games. He was telling his team, you guys got to move the ball. Throw it to your teammate. I promise they will throw it back. He was more mellow this time out, but he did keep saying, move the ball from side to side. Get the ball from one person to another. While he was doing this, Chauncey Billups, who usually doesn't say a whole lot, yelled at his teammates, guys, all that stuff that's happened to us, and we're right here. And just before they got up to lead the huddle, Larry Brown said, hey, guys, hey, we got to win this next 3 minutes.
Larry Brown breaking the game down into segments. Billups got fouled, and so Chauncey will go to the free throw line.
And we talked about that in game 1. The Detroit Pistons were talking about winning the first 3 minutes and the last 3 minutes of the half and quarters, and they're doing that right now.
In comes Campbell with a start. Now Wallace goes out. Starter against starter tonight when the starting 5 has remained on the floor mano a mano. Detroit is up 32-25. Here's Michelle.
Well, guys, I just spoke with Kurt Rambis during the timeout. He agreed. Rasheed Wallace giving them problems. I said, at what point is Karl Malone become a defensive liability? And he said, ooh, that's a good question. Look for some substitutions soon, guys.
Not yet, because Malone right now still in the game. Lakers with their starting 5, and O'Neal gets fouled by Campbell after Detroit cuts what at one point was an 11-point lead. to 1.
I tell you, Shaquille O'Neal, Al, in Game 1 and in Game 2, has been as aggressive as I've seen him all year, in a consistent basis. When he gets the ball on the post right now, he is going for it, and he is playing hard.
It's June.
Yeah, he can see the finish line.
Yeah. This is the first here. That foul on Campbell was his 4th. And again, Luke Walton, so instrumental in the surge in the first half, remains on the bench, or in Luke's case, he just likes to sit on the floor. 60-58, Lakers on top by 2. Under 3 to go in the 3rd quarter. And the importance of the second game, no team has ever lost the first 2 at home and won the championship. A dilemma which would face the Lakers if the Pistons pull this one out. Prince drives, reverse, doesn't go, but there is Campbell in the lane to keep it alive. To Hamilton, got it back. And then the ball, with it going out of bounds, kicked out of bounds. And a foul on Malone.
Yeah. You know, it was a great sales job by Rip Hamilton. I actually thought he was tripped, but what Rip Hamilton did, and players do this, they go to the floor, they make sure that they're going to get the call. I mean, let's take a look here. Yeah, Rip Hamilton decided, I'm going to fall, I'm going to force the call, and pretty smart move by Rip Hamilton.
It gets him to the line because the Lakers long ago were over the limit in fouls in the period. In now comes Meadow Cooler, and he replaces Eldon Campbell again with all the guys guarding Shaq. We talked about it the other night. Doc mentioned you've got 24 fouls in effect if you need them. So it's no big deal when a guy picks up 4. You have 3 other guys who fill that role.
No, if any team is suited for foul trouble at the 4 or 5 position, the Detroit Pistons, they're the team.
And one of the stunning things the other night is that the Lakers out-fouled the Pistons. Lakers didn't even take a free throw until it was late in the second half in terms of free throws after the break. Foul here.
That's what Phil Jackson was talking about. You know, besides the Lakers needing to play better defense, he also thought that the Lakers needed to attack the basket more. And they didn't do that. They're doing that more tonight, though they did it in the first half. They're not doing a great job right now of doing it in the second half. You don't go to the foul line if you don't attack the basket.
Shaq again. Shaquille is now 8 out of 12, which is where he wound up the other night from the free throw line. So hitting 67%. Lakers still lead by 2 after that miss with 2:10 to go in the 3rd. Payton pressures Phillips. Chauncey found some room, and then O'Neal is there. Ball on the way down, but wouldn't have gone in, so it's no goaltending. And Gary Payton now brings it into the front court for LA. One minute remaining in the 3rd. Phillips got it. 3.
Gary Payton chose to go under. All evening so far, Payton's done a fantastic job, in my opinion, because he's worked over the pick and roll. On that one time, he decided to go under it, and Phillips burned him.
Phillips now has 19 points. Here's Devin George from the corner. 68-62. Phillips again goes by Payton, and Gary fouls him on the way to the hoop.
You know, it was interesting. Gary Payton was talking to Shaq. By the time he turned around, Phillips was already up on him. That's why he just committed that foul.
Spotted the opening. Here comes Derek Fisher into the game. Lindsey Hunter will close out the period for Detroit. Phillips 9 out of 10, now 10 out of 11 from the free throw line. To Michigan we go Thursday night after tomorrow, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. Game 3, Lakers Pistons. Game 3 Thursday. 4th game is Sunday night. 5th game, if necessary, next Tuesday night. Finals on a Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday rotation. And that would be the case for games 5, 6, and 7 if necessary. Bryant gets free from 3.
And that was a heat check.
Ooh, yeah.
It really was, because you can see Kobe starting to feel it right now. Big shot here for the Pistons.
Pistons will, in all likelihood, get the final shot of the quarter. Milking it down. Kobe stays with Billups, but then Billups gets free inside. Now Bryant trying to push the ball up the court for the final shot of the period. Kobe will stop, starts to slip. And that prayer doesn't get answered, and it's a 2-point game. So we are set up for another pretty good finish here in game 2. Huge game, especially for the Lakers, who right now face the prospect of going down 2 games to love. 68-66 at the end of 3. This presentation of the NBA Finals on ABC continues after this message and the words from our ABC stations.
And won tickets to the finals tonight. His story after the game.
Fourth quarter, Al Michaels and Doc Rivers. You're reading the same stuff I'm reading a couple of days ago. It's a rout. It's the West against the East. The Lakers, it's a coronation. It might be a sweep. Huh?
Well, they were serving champagne here in game 1 in the front row. I guess if you pay that much, you should. But, you know, you look at the series, and so far, it's been about defense. And in this game, it's been, to me, the Lakers have decided to join this series defensively, and that's why they're leading the game. But if you're looking at Detroit and Larry Brown, he's thinking, you know what, guys, it ain't all bad. We're only down 2 with the 1-0 lead in this series.
And for the Lakers, this is a gigantic quarter. I'm not diminishing what it means to Detroit, but at least for Detroit, they've already rested home court advantage. The Lakers faced with a prospect of going down 0-2. Detroit just scored 30 points in that quarter. It's the first time they've hit the 30 mark in the equivalent of almost 8 full games since the Nets series. Lakers had 24. Here's Stewart.
Al, again, Larry Brown showing why he is the consummate coach. He goes through all of their planning, all of their strategy for the timeout, and then he says to the guys, look, they're supposed to beat us. We're not supposed to beat them, especially the way we played in the first half. And they're only 2 points down. And as they broke the huddle, Rasheed Wallace yelled at his teammates twice. He said, be hungry. Be hungry. Al?
X's and O's and a little bit of psychology. And that is Prince getting the rebound off the missed Okur shot.
I tell you, Tayshaun Prince has been very effective in this game.
He's not lighting it up, but he's doing all the little things like that just there. He had 5 points in the first quarter and none since. 3-pointer on the way from Hunter, and there it is again.
Yeah, he keeps making little plays. That's what Larry Brown needs him to do.
Hamilton to try to tie it, and does. So the Detroit Pistons down by 11 in the third have caught him with Rasheed Wallace on the bench. Billups had 16 points in the third quarter, 8 of 8 from the line. Docky was the X factor the other night. He's the X factor tonight too, along with Prince.
And the Laker X factor in the first half hasn't played in the second half.
O'Neal missing, and Detroit with the ball and a chance to take the lead for the first time since the second period. Loose in the lane, and Hunter comes away with it. Shot clock to 7. Hamilton fell down. Now to 3. And you'll hear the buzzer and the 24-second violation.
That might have been the worst fast break I've ever seen. Wow.
That been the worst possession.
Yeah, that was
in a while.
It started out as a fast break, and it turned into a bad possession. Here comes Luke Walton, just like we just said. You know, he hasn't played in this second half, so Phil Jackson is leaning on a rookie down the stretch of the game.
And now you have Ben Wallace trying to steal it, and it goes out of bounds, and it's off Wallace. Corliss Williamson will check in. Prince goes out.
Yeah, well, if you thought the Shaq Ben Wallace collision was bad, Derek Fisher is thinking right now, this is worse.
Brian Cook is now going to come into the game, too. Another look here.
Brian Cook is coming into the game because on that last play, that was Nebedinko that should have flashed to the ball. He didn't. Almost caused a turnover. Phil Jackson can't afford to wait right now for anyone.
Cook there, #1 draft choice, who doesn't play very much and hasn't played at all tonight, winds up on the floor and winds up in a jump ball situation.
And you're seeing right now, Al, the weakness of the Laker bench. You know, it's a tie game. You lost the first game. There's 10 minutes left, and you have 2 rookies in the game for the Lakers who really haven't played in the playoffs.
It's crazy with so much on the line. Cook and Wallace wins the tip. So Detroit again trying to take the lead, erasing an 11-point deficit. Hamilton guarded by Kareem Rush. Rush got a hand in. Now Walton comes out to pressure. Hamilton gets it to Okur with Shaq 20 feet from the basket. Three-pointer here. Goes from Lindsey Hunter.
Boy, Derek Fisher took his eyes off of Lindsey Hunter for 1 second, and that 1 second cost him 3 points.
Detroit's first lead since it was 30-29. Rush got it. 71-70 Detroit. Hunter, who won a ring as a Laker.
This is going to Rip Hamilton.
Instead, underneath to Okur. It's dropped out of bounds off Okur's knee. Should have gone to Hamilton.
It should have. Well, it was, because Hamilton was coming off. They decided to help, and a good look by Lindsey Hunter, but Okur was open.
Now Fisher, pressured from behind. Off balance, Ben Wallace clears the board.
Bad possession.
And then Hunter gets fouled by Walton as he crosses midcourt. 8:49 remaining in the fourth in a very nervous Staples Center. Detroit on top of the Lakers, 71-70. Doc, Phil Jackson has a look on his face in December and then a little different look in February, and then he has the June look.
Yeah, this is June. This is full June look right now, and you know, he is really barking orders right now, something you don't see a lot from Phil Jackson because he's so calm and he tries to get his players to play under that calm. But I'm going to tell you right now, Phil Jackson is sensing the sense of urgency in this game, and he's trying to get his players to see it also. I also think at times Phil Jackson, he puts in young guys and different guys to send messages to his other veteran players, and I think that little stint we saw was one of the reasons he did that.
Heck of a time to send a message.
Now, he's decided to go real small.
And there's Walton trying to steal it and out of bounds.
Interesting. Larry Brown is huge. Phil Jackson has gone the other way. And look what he has on the floor. He basically has Shaq and 4 smalls.
He has Fisher and he has Rush, and that makes Kobe the small forward. Walton in the game, O'Neal as well, and they force the turnover.
And you know what Phil Jackson said before the game, we have to pressure them. We have to put ball pressure on them. He hasn't been able to get it the way he wanted to, so what he's decided to do is go small and put ball pressure on them that way. That's how he got the 5 seconds.
Walton has played 15 minutes. He has 7 assists. Fisher for 3. Bryant for 2. And the Magic fan loves it. Lakers by 4.
It's Pistons pre-game day. Chuck Daly joins Don Shane for the Inside Story, followed by the game. Then it's action news and post-game day with the best highlights. The Rock Financial Pistons Game Day, starting Thursday at 8, only on 7.
The NBA Finals on ABC, brought to you by Allstate. Are you in good hands? Sprite Remix Berry Clear. Rethink, remix, refresh. Nike. And Bacardi Silver Limon. Premium malt beverage. Flavor your night.
back in Los Angeles. You're part of the process in terms of voting for the NBA Finals MVP. There's the information. Your Verizon wireless phone, number 222, or log on to NBA.com. And you're in the process. Right now, the Pistons are in the process of trying to close the gap again as we go to Michelle.
All right, Al, well, prior to Game 1, Phil Jackson told me the Lakers were not familiar enough with the Pistons this season, and that concerned him. Tonight, I asked him how much he learned about the Pistons in Game 1. He told me we were soundly defeated in Game 1. We learned the Pistons get a lot of help from their bench, but we still have not seen their full arsenal. It makes you think they're learning on the job. Now let's check in with Stu.
Michelle, during the timeout, Larry Brown gathered his team around and he said, guys, I couldn't write it any better than this. We're in their home court. They had a 12-point lead on us, and we're in this thing. He said, what just happened? The Lakers' little mini run before the timeout. He said, that's just 2 minutes. That's all that is. 2 minutes. Al?
2 minutes with 7:39 to play in the fourth. The foul was on Derek Fisher. Lakers' second team foul. Fisher's second. Detroit has not committed a team foul in this period. Wallace has it swatted away. Now Billups gets tripled, and then Ben Wallace underneath gets hammered by O'Neal. 4 fouls on Shaquille O'Neal.
But not a bad one, you know. Shaquille O'Neal is looking at this. They have a 4-point lead. They're on a run. If he allows Ben Wallace to have that dunk, that's 2 points. If he fouls him, there's a chance, and pretty good chance, that he'll split him at best.
Right, just like O'Neal, a 40-some-odd% free throw shooter.
That just saved 1 point. That
right
foul.
there. Hack a Ben.
Hack a Ben.
Missed them both. Bryant gets the rebound. So as it turns out, 4th foul, a little dangerous. Turns out in that particular possession to be the right thing, as Big Ben is now 2 of 8 from the stripe. And then Bryant gets fouled by Prince. First team foul.
You can see the adjustment Kobe Bryant has made in this game, other than Game 1 where he was settling for jump shots. He is really attacking the basket and using the in-between game more.
They inbounded with 14 on the reset timer.
Boy, Shaq wants the ball.
Gets it. 4 on the clock. And Ben Wallace rejects it soundly.
That doesn't happen very often.
Prince, defended by Bryant, works off the screen, gets free but misses, but then gets his own rebound and gets fouled. Foul on Bryant.
Boy, I tell you, Tayshaun Prince is just so long. He's making things happen.
14 offensive rebounds for Detroit. That's 4 now on Bryant. So Bryant has 4. O'Neal has 4. The only Piston with 4 would be Eldon Campbell, who comes off the bench. Billups on the run. Got fouled. Foul is on Fisher.
Yeah, you're going to see a steady dose now of pick and roll from the Detroit Pistons. They know that Shaq doesn't want to help. One of the reasons Shaquille O'Neal doesn't like helping out is because he picks up little chippy fouls by showing. So he hates doing it. Now with 4 fouls, Larry Brown knows there's no way he's going to show.
Chauncey Billups is 12 out of 13 from the free throw line, which figures he was an 88% free throw shooter during the regular season and 88 coming into this game in postseason. Makes them both, and the Pistons have cut it to 2. Shaquille O'Neal blank in this quarter. He has 20 in the game. Walton sets the screen for Bryant. 18-footer doesn't go, but Shaquille is there for the rebound. And then out of bounds, Wallace was there, and they say it's off Big Ben. Fisher will inbound it. Here's Walton. Dishes it to O'Neal, and will that be an offensive foul? Oh, baby. Wow. That's 5. And keep in mind, too, if you go into overtime. I mean, you've got 5 right now, so you have 6:17 left. And who knows if it winds up in a tie. And now Malone comes off the bench, and Jackson is compelled to sit O'Neal at this point.
And I thought that was a bad call. I really did. I thought it was more of a flop on Ben Wallace's part. But great flop because he drew the foul.
Hollywood, it works.
Yes.
Here's Rasheed Wallace trying to angle. Malone is there. Rasheed misses, but again, another offensive rebound. Ben Wallace.
Well, you know, Al, the Lakers decided to go small. That's fine when you have Shaq in because he is so big, he can cover up some mistakes. Now they're small. It'll be interesting if they can hang on the boards with the Pistons.
Small, and they have to go with Malone as their big guy, and he's got the bad knee. Fisher missing. Back come the Pistons with a chance to tie it or take the lead with a three.
Really surprised that they're not going low with Rasheed Wallace with Luke Walton Gardner. Oh, there he is.
There he is. Rasheed Wallace to the hoop. Tied at 75.
Yeah, with Walton guarding Rasheed Wallace and him wanting to help Walton as much as he does, you kind of felt that they had to go to Rasheed Wallace.
5:16 remaining in regulation. 75 all in Game 2 of the NBA Finals.
All tied at 75. Byron Scott, Shaq with 5 fouls. When would you go back to him if you were coaching L.A.?
Well, you know what, Mike? It really depends a lot on the time of the game, and it also depends on what the score is. You know, if L.A. can keep a lead, I would probably keep him out till about the 3-minute mark, the 3-minute-and-a-half mark.
Who's going to do a better job in not only scoring the last 5 minutes, but making plays for their teammates? Chauncey Billups or Kobe Bryant?
A reminder, your late local news, Nightline, and Jimmy Kimmel Live come up after the game. But Alan, Doc, we could be here for a while. Back down to you guys courtside.
75 all, guys, as you look at Shaq with his 5 fouls. How important is Shaq to the Lakers? If you projected it on a 48-minute basis or the time of a game, when he's been on the court, the Lakers would win the game by 8 points. When he's off the court, they would lose the game 94-70. They'd be a 24-point loser.
Yeah, and most coaches all go by plus minus. And, I mean, it's an obvious one, Al, and you're right. When Shaq's off the floor, they are a different basketball team for a lot of reasons. Obviously because of his size, but because their offense starts through Shaquille O'Neal. Without him on the floor, it really is a different type of triangle offense.
So here are the Lakers, the team of stars with Fisher, Rush, and Walton. Hamilton, big deuce, 85-82.
They're going to have to put Kobe Bryant back on Rip Hamilton because Rip missed the last shot that was open for him. They ran the exact same play, and he made that one.
Here's Bryant for the tie. O'Neal trying to get the rebound. It's loose. Detroit has it, but it was on the end line. Last touched by a Laker, and Detroit has it.
Quick shot from Kobe there. I was really surprised that early in the possession that he would go for that deep of a three-point shot.
Down by 3, thinking 3 at that point. Huge defensive possession here. Detroit possession for the Lakers. Hamilton almost has it taken away. A foul is called. They're going to call it on Fisher.
Now again, Rush guarding Rip Hamilton. And Rip Hamilton is starting to make things happen. Now, the reason that it's very difficult to take Kobe off and put him on is because Kobe is guarding Tayshaun Prince. But you can see the reach there in the foul.
Hamilton now 3 out of 4 from the line. It's a 4-point lead. 79 seconds to play. 23 for Hamilton. 27 for Billups. Got them both up by 5. The Lakers have 4 guys on the court who can make threes. Fisher, Walton, Rush, and Bryant. Here goes Bryant. smells the basket, gets fouled on the way in.
Yeah, not a bad option, getting a quick foul by Kobe Bryant. You can see his adjustment is to attack the basket. They need to do this. This is what's difficult now, Al, because you would love to go to Shaquille O'Neal, but the Detroit Pistons absolutely will foul Shaq if he gets too deep now. See, this is where Kobe has to take the game over, and the Pistons know it.
That was Rasheed Wallace's 4th foul, and of all things, Bryant, terrific from the line, misses that. That's the lineup coming up next. Local news, Nightline, Jimmy Kimmel Live, except on the West Coast. Here comes Malone into the game. Rush goes out.
Yeah, and this is a defensive substitution. This is also a substitution now to allow Kobe Bryant to switch back over to Rip Hamilton.
1 of 2 for Bryant. 87-83. Ticking down to a minute. Phillips. Chauncey clearing it out. Then Hamilton gets free. Shot clock at 6. What a rebound by Wallace, and he puts it back in. He is just magnificent on the glass. 14 rebounds for Ben Wallace. Now Shaq has to get it out to Malone, looking for the 3. Here's Bryant, a pressured 3. That doesn't go. O'Neal with a rebound, gets the putback and gets fouled. And now up comes a huge foul shot for O'Neal.
And of all the times not to foul Shaq, that was the time.
That was the time. Exactly.
You know, again, Ben Wallace had Luke Walton guarding him because Karl Malone tried to help on the shot by Rip Hamilton.
Now Kareem Rush comes back in. Jackson's got to get his 3-point man back out and replaces Derek Fisher.
Yeah, and the reason he's bringing a big lineup in because he's worried about the size of Phillips. Now, so what Phil Jackson is going to do, he's going to put Rush back on Hamilton, and he's going to put Kobe on Phillips because of the size factor.
Not elegant. A line drive goes in. It's a 3-point game. Shaq 9 of 14. And Hamilton avoids a double team by Walton and Rush and then takes a timeout as they stayed with him right to the sideline. So 30.4 seconds remain, 19 on the 24, and Detroit up by 3. If the Lakers lose, and we mentioned it a couple of times already tonight, no team has ever lost 2 at home, the first 2, and gone on to win it. Detroit would then simply have to win 2 of 3 at home. The Lakers would be forced into a situation they'd have to win 4 of 5. They came from down 2 to San Antonio, but those 2 losses were on the road.
Well, and this was huge right here by Rip Hamilton because he was trapped. Kareem Rush let him out of that trap. I tell you, Rip Hamilton had nowhere to go, made a great spin move, and tightrope the sideline. You know, little plays make series. That was a huge play. All he did was broke the half-court line. That's all he needed to do. Now they have a timeout and a chance to drop a play. The key for the Pistons right now is obviously they don't want to take a quick shot. They want to use the clock and probably get the ball in Phillips or Hamilton's hands. We'll probably run a pick and roll somewhere with Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, and look for that shot.
Do the Lakers take a chance and foul early?
They could. They could think about it. The problem is Rip Hamilton is an excellent free throw shooter. So is Phillips. Now, some coaches would foul and just say, I don't care, let's extend the game. I think Phil Jackson is thinking, with 30 seconds left, if we get a stop, we can go for a 3 to tie the score. So he might decide not to foul.
Kobe Bryant, meanwhile, who's normally a pretty good three-point shooter, 33% in his career. In the 4th quarter in the playoffs, he's 4 for 28.
You can say he's struggling or he's good. It depends on what side of the fence you're on.
Probably a combo platter. Prince to inbound.
If Ben Wallace touches the ball, they will foul him.
11-second differential. A little handoff, like a football handoff to Billups. He'll would go all the way. There's no foul call, but the Lakers get the rebound. And here comes Kobe. He looks over at the bench. Phil says, well, it's interesting. Phil, at first, didn't call for the timeout. Bryant took it into the front court, which is one of the things he wanted to do. And then Walton looked over and saw Jackson and called the timeout with 10.9.
You know what he wanted? He wanted them to get the rebound and push it up and look for a quick three. But because they took their time, then he decided we have to call a timeout. He wanted them to go.
Yeah, he was caught in between in a way, yeah.
You can see him sitting at first waiting, and then because they were so passive coming up the floor, it was a good timeout.
Now,
as a coach, I think that's a good move.
The one thing Jackson has done, he's left himself without a timeout. How big is it? Well, especially in the inbounds pass, it could be big. Never forget, there were 2 timeouts called before Derek Fisher hit his shot with 0.4 of a second in San Antonio. So they were able to, in effect, set up 3 different plays. So they have to make sure they can inbound the ball here because they do not have a timeout remaining.
Yeah, and that's big. It's big for a couple of reasons. If they had a timeout, Al, they would probably go for a 2 and then foul, and then call a timeout after the free throws. But because they don't have a timeout, they're almost forced now into taking a three-point shot unless they can get a quick 2, and I mean a quick 2.
In the Fisher game, that play Jackson drew up when they huddled had nothing to do with the play he knew they would run. They were going to run it, at least in terms of pattern, and then call a timeout. Now they can't. This has to be his A inbounds play. The Lakers are 5 out of 16 as a team from 3-point.
6 points in overtime, 2 of them right there. Went on to win 99-91. Let's go live to the Staples Center right now. Jay Berry is there. Jay, what do you got for us?
Well, Don, we're still waiting for the Pistons to come back out, but a number of Detroiters, if you will, those who have ties, watching this game, Jalen Rose, Gary Grant, a couple of Michigan greats. Gary, it looked like they had it. I have one big question. Where was Tayshaun when Kobe took the final shot that sent it into OT?
Well, you know, I don't know what the defensive scheme was, whatever, but, you know, in that situation, you know, you just got to just see what happens and see what happens. So,
okay,
go ahead
Gary.
and go.
All right, Gary, thanks a lot. Here's Chauncey Billups. Chauncey, we talked earlier about the situation. You got to be devastated. But one good thing about it, it's far from over, the series.
Yeah, it's definitely far from over. You know, we had a great opportunity, squandered it. You know, Kobe hit a great shot. You know, he hit a great shot, and we just couldn't really get it going in overtime. So,
what happened with Tayshaun not being on him? You know, when he took the final shot, Rip was the one.
It was a switch. I mean, they ran a pick and roll, and it was a switch. And, you know, we told Rip they had to take a 3, so he should have been all over him instead of giving him a good look. But, you know, he had a great shot, man.
Disgusted, I'm sure, but again, it's far from over. As you told me earlier today, you're going home for 3 more. Great opportunity. They were on their heels. It's like they just survived tonight, basically.
Definitely, definitely. They was, you know, we had them on the ropes, man. We had them on the ropes, and they kept fighting. You know, obviously they've been in these kind of situations before. And, you know, we go home for 3. So, you know, we definitely, I'm sure we definitely got their attention because, you know, we feel like we should be 2 up right now.
Also, you have been far from your A game. I think once the Pistons have the opportunity to put it together, it could be 3 straight at the Palace.
Well, we're just going to worry about game 3. You know, we're going to worry about game 3 because, you know, as you've seen, you know, one game goes so many different ways. So we got to take this thing one game at a time.
Okay, Chauncey Billups, appreciate it. Thanks for the time. Don, that's the situation. Let one get away, but I tell you, Pistons can take this thing, talking about this series. We'll have much more coming up in sports and also on the special post-game story.
All right, Jay, before we get away, what was the talk out there about the end of the game, about the Pistons not fouling? What were they saying?
I can't hear you, Don. Go one more time.
At the end of the game, at the end of regulation, when they had a chance to foul Shaq, they even had a chance to foul Kobe, was there a lot of talk about the Pistons should have fouled right then and there and put them on the line and then probably had a better chance to win the game rather than let Kobe shoot the 3?
All right, Tayshaun, first of all, the switch. What happened? You didn't wind up in Kobe. You played him a great game prior to.
You know, my job is just make him take tough shots. I mean, you know, as you can see, he hit some tough ones there late in the game. But, you know, obviously that last play, we up 3. You know, the kids, you know, you got to make switches in that opportunity because, you know, they setting a double screen for him. You know, Shaq is, you know, going to get a piece of me, so we got to make a play. And, you know, Rip switched off of him. You know, he made a good defensive play. But, you know, Kobe has been making them shots all year long, and he did it tonight.
All right, the last thing, of course, nobody fouls to possibly put him at the line. Second guessing?
You know, who knows? I mean, you know, we don't make the decisions. You know, coaches felt that, you know, it was an opportunity for us to just rely on our defense and see what happens. Obviously, you got a great player who's made some tough shots like that all season long, and he stepped up when it was, you know, an opportunity.
Sounds like you would rather have foul, possibly, to put him at the line?
You know, for the most part, I mean, you just gotta play him. You gotta make him take a tough shot. I mean, he was 3-4 feet behind the three-point line. Rip had a hand up. I mean, obviously, I would like to stay on him to make him a tougher shot, you know, because I'm longer. But, you know, it's just a situation we had to make a switch.
You let one get away. You know that, don't you?
Oh, we definitely know that. You know, we should be walking out of here 2-0, but we're not. So, you know, we can't talk about that. But at the same time, we can't hold our heads down. You know, after a situation like this, you know, after Kobe hitting that shot, you know, the whole momentum is swinging their way, and we really couldn't do nothing in overtime.
The Lakers appear to feel like they escaped. They know they escaped. The fans know it. Prior to coming in here, thinking about you could go to the Palace and win 3 straight. I know you take them one at a time, but
definitely take one at a time, and definitely they know they escaped with this win.
But you could.
We're not worried about trying to take 3 at the Palace. We worried about trying to take game 3. This is going to be a pivotal game. You know, you don't want them to get up 2-1. You know, Kobe made a big play. They know they escaped with this one, but hey, you know, Kobe did his job. You know, he's you know, a big time player, and he's been showing it all year, and even before that.
All right, they're trying to pull you away. Thanks, Tayshaun. There's your answer, at least for now. Again, much more coming up, Don.
All right, Jay, thanks for getting that answer. Let's go live to the press conference now. Lakers head coach Phil Jackson is on the phone.
Marty McNeil from the Sacramento Bee. What's your thought on Larry not fouling in that situation during the dribble handoff exchange, and why do you think coaches are so hesitant to foul in the position down 3 or 2 points in that situation?
Well, I can tell you twice it's happened in my career where we've wanted to come out and foul, and players have gotten a 4-point play, made the 3, and also get the foul shot, and that's enough to burn you because not only do you not get the tie, you lose the ball game in that situation. It happened with us in the playoff game with the Bulls versus the Knicks in '88. It also happened in a regular season game in Dallas a few years ago, too. But you know, those are things to burn you, but you know, most of the time we tell the player to be prepared to take that foul and be ready to shoot the ball if you are fouled, so you have that opportunity to score and maybe get a foul shot. But again, it looks like a no-brainer at times, and I know that we've got more and more opportunities over the years, and you know, hesitated to do it, and you know, oftentimes felt like we made a mistake when we haven't.
Right here in the front.
Yeah, Coach, Jim Hill, CBS 2 News. You've seen a lot of final games. Where does this one rank as far as excitement is concerned?
Well, that was right up there. I mean, it was like the energy fell out of our team. We lost the momentum. I gave a lecture to the ball club about the third quarter. We had everything going for us right in the third quarter except our execution. And, you know, we didn't use the opportunities we had to build on a lead that was a double-digit lead, and the Pistons came down, executed, and got the game back in their end of the momentum calibration. And we talked about that at the end of the game. And then to rebuild that momentum took us another almost a half a quarter to get it back again so that we were back in order. It always felt like that game was a possibility for us to win.
All right, Lakers head coach Phil Jackson continuing to talk about tonight's game, and I think very fortunate that the Lakers got the win, because I guarantee you that it's going to be a lot of talk tomorrow about that last part of the game. Jay Berry's got another guest. Let's go back out to Staples Center. Jay?
All right, Jalen, when I saw you last, I'm walking out. It looks like they're going to win. Your thoughts on the way this whole thing unfolded?
You know, for the Detroiters, it was kind of like a heartbreak situation because Detroit played so well in Game 2. I mean, it really did all the things they wanted to do. And for Kobe Bryant to hit that hellacious three-point shot at the end, it kind of takes the wind out of yourselves.
Okay, but you're the Pistons going home for 3, realizing how these last 2 turned out. You're only human. You're a player. Your thoughts if you're the Lakers?
My thoughts if we're the Lakers is that we snuck Game 2, and we know a team has never won the 3 rubber games, so we probably will come back to L.A. If you Detroit, hey, we going home. We going home to a Palace that's going to be crazy that haven't seen NBA Finals in 15 years, and you feel good about your position still.
And also consider when they came in, the whole atmosphere, and now, I mean, they just escaped.
Exactly. You figure, you know, anytime you're from Detroit, every place I go and I say that, we automatically become the underdog. So in Detroit being an underdog, they came out here and got 1 or 2 of the games, and they're in a great position going home.
I'll see you in the Motor City?
I'll be there.
Okay.
Thank you, Jay.
Jalen Rose, Toronto Raptors, Detroit Southwest, much more coming up. Don, back to you.
All right, Jay, thank you very much. The series is 1-1, headed back to the Palace for Game 3 on Thursday night.
It was that close to 2-0.
It was awful close, and Larry Brown's going to hear a lot about fouling, I can guarantee you that.
Especially after what we heard from Jackson tonight. All right.
Yeah.
That Palace is going to rock Thursday night.
It will be loud, Di. Louder than that place in California.
Thanks, Donnie. Well, thousands of Pistons fans gathered at the Palace tonight to watch the game on the big screen. It was the next best thing to being there, game in person. Action News reporter Heather Catala was there and joins us live with more. Woo, Heather, we had it right in our hands there. 2 seconds
That's right,
to go.
Diana. The fans stayed until the bitter end, but their team spirit just wasn't enough tonight.
Yes!
Yes! With passion for fashion, Pistons fans flooded the Palace with their enthusiasm.
I'm excited, but I couldn't fly to LA, so I figured I'd come out here and support them with all these fans.
Zantai Johnson joined thousands of other faithful fans for a night of Palace vision, a chance to watch Detroit's bad boys take on the Los Angeles Lakers on the big screen. Do you think they can hear you in LA?
They're gonna know I'm here, and they're gonna hear me all the way to Cali.
Palace Vision feels like a real game, complete with the Pistons dance team and some sassy signs. It's also a chance for the little ones to stay up late.
Because I'm voting for the Pistons. Pistons rock. I want to say that I love Tayshaun Prince.
It's over. We coming in #1, baby. We always #1, baby. Always #1.
All right, Heather Catala out at the Palace tonight, but right now let's go back to the Staples Center. Jay Berry standing by with the assistant coach of the Pistons, Herb Brown. And the brother to the Larry, yeah.
All right, Stephen, Herb Brown, assistant coach, former head coach. A lot of questions, a lot of coulda, woulda, shouldas. Let me hear it from you.
Well, I mean, you know, I don't think it's really smart to foul on that last shot. I mean, we had him. We made the switch. We just stayed off him. We weren't close to Kobe when he hit the 3, and he had a great look. And it was 2 seconds. He hit it with 2.1 on the clock. You know, he hit a great shot. And then in the overtime, we just didn't work the ball. We took some bad shots, some ill-advised shots, some quick shots, and we tried to win the game as if we were 25 points behind, you know, and just jacking up threes. And you know, that's not the way we play.
One that got away.
One that got away. We came here to get one. We got one. Now we're going home for 3, and we just got to survive, you know, this defeat. It was an overtime defeat. We could have quit when we were 12 points down and just packed it in and said, okay, we got one, but we came back. We worked our butts off, and we've got a chance.
More than a chance, and I think the entire basketball community knows that at this point.
Well, the thing that we have to understand is that we can play with anybody, and when we play our game, like Larry says, if we play the right way, we share the ball, we get everybody involved, and we make them play defense, and that's what we're going to have to do. And they played a great game. They really did play a great game.
Thanks, Herb. We're gonna take it to the press conference where his younger brother is addressing the situation. Larry Brown.
You know, Shaq's offensive rebound, I thought the possession before that and three-point play was the biggest one. And it's hard to foul a guy, you know, before he shoots an offensive rebound. But Kobe made a great shot. We defended it. We switched. Great player, made a great shot. We didn't handle the clock great. I thought, you know, we might have shot a little quick and took kind of a half-ass shot, but that was critical. But give them credit. They made huge plays, and then it got in overtime, and we just kind of lost our poise.
Right here.
Coach, Simi Rieger from Tel Aviv. Kobe put the ball on the floor twice before he took the shot, and he gave every chance in the world to have that foul.
Yeah, we don't foul in a situation like that. He's going to go up and shoot it anyway. You know, we were off, we switched. You know, usually when we switch, we try to take something away. But, you know, that wasn't a situation we talked about. We just wanted to switch out and get a hand up and be aggressive, and you know, our switch was there, but we just kind of backed off a little bit, and he made a great shot.
Right side.
Yeah, Larry, Roscoe Nance from USA Today. Rip and Chauncey both had big scoring nights. Can you just comment on their overall play of your backcourt?
You know, they made shots. You know, I didn't think Rip had one of his better nights in shot selection. But you know, he had to shoot the ball for us, and, you know, Chauncey kept us in the game with some big shots when we had to make our rally, and Rasheed got us back in the game. We kind of forgot about going inside, and that's all we talked about. But I don't think we got to get a situation where the ball is a little bit more evenly distributed, in my mind, especially late in the game when we're in the bonus. You know, we were in the bonus in the fourth quarter pretty early, and we kept talking about let's try to get the ball inside and flatten their defense out a little bit, and we kind of settled. You know, I thought we shot it a little too quickly on the last possession before Kobe's three. And we almost acted like we were trying to get fouled instead of just go up and shoot it. But hey, those guys, we got down 12, and those guys got us back in the game. And I admired the hell of the way they tried. Rip, you know, took a real bad hit in game one, and he's been dizzy for 2 days. So I thought he gave a remarkable effort under the circumstances.
Right here on this side.
Larry, Dave Burkett from the Oakland Press. Can you, Rasheed picked up two quick fouls again and didn't play that second quarter. Can you just talk about his performance and what you need to do to keep him on the court a little bit more?
You know, the way that game's being called, I don't like the fouls. You know, the kid got to the line one time. You know, we threw it inside to him. He gets to the line one time, and he's out of the game early in every game. I don't know what the answer is. No.
Pistons head coach Larry Brown addressing all sorts of issues tonight, but mainly that one about why Kobe was given such a free pass with 2.1 seconds left and allowed to tie the game and send it in overtime. Well, regardless, it would have been a great place to be tonight, and getting to tonight's game in L.A. was no easy feat. But one local fan's smooth moves landed him and a buddy right there at the Staples Center. Action News reporter Ray Sayed joins us now live from Los Angeles with their amazing journey, win, lose, or draw. Ray?
Stephen, it was a tough one tonight for the Pistons. They lose a close one and a thriller to the Lakers, but there was one young man from Michigan who was at the Staples Center tonight who was a big winner thanks to a slam dunk he threw down at about 6 a.m. this morning back in Michigan.
Here he goes, man. He's going in, and look at that dunk!
He flew in for a slam dunk in Royal Oak Township. And 10 hours later, Justin Malberg landed at the Staples Center in L.A. for Game 2 of the NBA Finals. What's up, Slam Dunk? How you doing, man? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome to L.A.
Right on. I'm happy to be here, you know.
Matt's journey from the Great Lakes State to the Laker game was the culmination of one of the most thrilling days of his life. This is a day you'll never forget.
I'll never forget.
Matt's unforgettable day began when Riff Radio's Drew and Mike show put on a slam dunk contest. Grand prize and all expenses paid trip for two to Game 2 of the Finals.
At 6:15, they said there's going to be a dunk contest at...
When you hear that, what are you thinking?
Oh, I'm disappointed. Look at us. I mean, we're disappointed.
The 25 contestants did have some hope. The basket was lowered to 8.5 feet. All of a sudden, a man who couldn't jump was soaring above the rim.
I just kind of improvised, threw it up to myself, and
It went in.
And it went in. That was really quite far from the rim, but it went in. So
Now you're in L.A. at the Staples.
And now I'm in L.A.
Justin brought his good friend Chris along for the trip, but on a winning day, the two did lose their suitcase. So you're in L.A. without your suitcase.
Yeah, pretty much. We got nothing. I just spent $10 on a thing of deodorant and a toothbrush.
They didn't have their suitcases, but they got 2 tickets to a thriller of a game and memories to last a lifetime. Unfortunately, they didn't see the Pistons win, but this series just heating up. Live at the Staples Center in Los Angeles, Ray Saya, Channel 7 Action News.
All right, thank you very much, Ray. It sure was a nail-biter. Pistons fans show their spirit in a lot of different ways, but some go above and beyond the call of duty with creativity. Action News reporter Peggy Agar is live in Warren with a couple of fantastic examples. Peggy?
Well, Diana, how can the Pistons recover from this loss? Well, I can show you how. A doctor has written them a prescription, and here it is. Dispense 1 victory, take 4 times. Now, that'll work for the Pistons, but I also found something to help out us fans, too. With mixes and potions, David James is concocting a Pistons creation and drawing quite a crowd of his own.
Well, you got to understand, Detroit is the hair capital of the world, so we do outrageous things. You know, I think when you step out in public, you should be eye-catching and do things that's different and bold to draw attention. I mean, we're the Pistons, and they're eye-catching teams, so why not have eye-catching nails?
James is giving fans an upper hand with his crazy creations, a basket and hoop, right on a fingernail.
Well, I think it really is cool.
You're not going to see a whole lot of ladies walking around with something this big and this crazy, but it definitely will stand out and draw attention in the crowd.
That was exciting, wasn't it? But might have been a little bit too much excitement for me to handle. Doctor, I think I have Pistons fever. Have you been seeing a lot of cases?
Oh, Peggy, you're nothing but normal. Everybody in America has got Pistons fever.
Dr. Richard Klein thinks he has the perfect prescription for Pistons success.
Well, the last time I wrote it, they went 4-0 against these L.A. Lakers.
He wrote Chuck Daly and the Bad Boys a prescription 14 years ago. Now he believes there's a refill left for this team. Face it, the game we've all been waiting for is that Thursday night game when the Pistons come back home. Now, David James has a special treat for fans. He actually has a Ben Wallace fingernail. He calls it a fro on a finger. You can get it by meeting up with him at Little Willie's in Detroit. Reporting live from Warren, Peggy Agar. Back to you, Stephen.
All right, Peggy, thank you very much. Now let's turn to Action News reporter Joe Mason live in Corktown at one of the hot spots for watching tonight's game. And Joe, did they all stay to the very bitter end?
They did, Stephen, and it was a very disappointed crowd here at Shelley's Tavern. But we did find one guy who is the toast of the town, win or lose. You could call Martini Joe a real Rembrandt or a Pistons Picasso.
We really have the spirit here.
The man who serves spirits behind the bar here at Detroit's Shelley's Tavern on the Avenue has created a one-of-a-kind martini masterpiece, a work of art in a glass that shows the Pistons' true colors. Behold, the Pistons Power Punch Overdrive Martini.
The Overdrive is citrus vodka with blue Curaçao and grenadine. Comes out red, white, and blue, shaken. A very tangy taste, but with our Pistons colors.
But Martini Joe's work in adult watercolors transcends his emotional attachment to one glass. As any great artiste, he's willing to expand his horizons.
You do have your occasional Lakers fan, and you have to feel sorry for him. You can't do anything but. So we're offering them a Lakers martini. It's called the Loser Cocktail.
The Laker Loser Martini is no Mona Lisa. Don't dare to compare this purple and yellow mixture to the true red, white, and blue.
It's all the well stuff, basically, being as how it's in the toilet. They won't get sick from it, but they'll get sick when they watch the game tonight.
Martini Joe says he'll give a free Laker Loser Martini to any fan who comes in here wearing a Lakers jersey. Who in the heck would want to do that? Live in Corktown, Joe Mason, Channel 7 Action News.
All right, thank you, Joe. And you can only see the NBA Finals right here on Channel 7. Join us for Game 3 on Thursday night. We start with the Rock Financial Pistons Game Day show at 8. Tip-off is at 9. And stay with us for live team coverage from the Palace, so keep it here on 7. Action News and Rock Financial are giving away tickets to that game. To enter, log on to our website, WXYZ.com. We will announce the winner Thursday on Action News This Morning, beginning at 5 a.m.
We have much more Pistons coverage ahead, including getting to the root of who does Ben's do.
Plus, your rainy Doppler 7 forecast is coming up.
And we want to introduce you to a group of young Pistons fans cheering on the team tonight and every time they play. These are the kids from Trevor Court in Sterling Heights. We'll be right back.
Wife of Piston center Big Ben Wallace is spilling secrets about her husband's game day hairdos. Shonda Wallace says she is the one who calls the style shots in the family. He's wearing the braids in L.A., but he's famous for his fro. Shonda will not say how she picks the do, but admits it has a lot to do with time.
If he's on the road, I don't feel like him having to run around with the blow dryers, but I prefer the afro. I like the way he looks with it all wild and blown out. I think it's sexy. Yeah, you said it, I did.
Look for Ben's fro to make a comeback when the finals come home to the Palace on Thursday.
Another unique look on the team isn't a fashion statement at all. It's a face saver, and we tracked down the man behind the mask. Rip Hamilton wears it to protect his nose, which has been broken twice. Jerry McHale of Michigan Hand and Rehab in Warren made the mask with a special mold. It's designed to protect Rip from tough hits, like the one he took in the Pacers series.
What did you think when you saw that hit?
I was thinking I'm very glad he agreed to get the mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously that looked like a hit that could have knocked him out again.
McHale also made the mask worn by bad boy legend Bill Laimbeer, the first masked man in the NBA.
And Governor Jennifer Granholm says California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger accepted her side bet on the outcome of the finals.
When they do win, I want a big blow-up photo of him sitting at his desk wearing a Pistons jersey, eating a pasty, and drinking a Verner's. He needs to send it to me so I can hang it up on my wall.
And on the off chance the Pistons lose, Governor Granholm has to eat a burger from the California restaurant chain In-N-Out.
Actually, they're pretty good burgers. One local soldier stationed in a war zone isn't letting a few thousand hostile miles stop him from rooting for the Pistons. Joe McAvoy of Livonia recently sent this picture home to his family. They say he is a lifelong Pistons fan who's thrilled to see the team in the finals. And while he may not be the only Pistons fan in the desert of Afghanistan, sometimes it can feel that way.
Yes, he's with the Indiana unit, so he got some grief from his fellow soldiers there.
But he got the last laugh on
But he got the
that
last laugh on them. He certainly did.
His mom also says that even though the time difference put the tip off tonight at 5 o'clock in the morning, Joe still planned to be up and watching.
And there's rain in the Doppler 7 forecast.
Rain to put on top of all this heat and rain on our parade, I guess. That's coming up in about 2 minutes. Stay with us.
Seems everyone is getting into the Pistons fever. Even this cute dog named Ditto needs a sweatband. He's watching the game with the Cornegays of Plymouth. We'll be right back.
And right here, Pistons fans come in all shapes and sizes, even pint size. This is 3-year-old Miguel Mano of Bloomfield Hills. We'll be right back.